Whew. Guys, I'm gonna be real. I thought we filmed an episode between the last one and this one, so uh, this is
Yep.
gonna be rough.
This is a very late in coming. We had like a lot of topics in mind, but we're not going to be covering most of them just because it would be exhausting. Just way too exhausting.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
also here.
Oh yeah, we got a Russian. We don't have a Brit this time. Right
British
off the
people do not exist.
right off the bat, we have some September news, and I'm curious what's going to happen because we've seen Toys for Bob break free, and now Raven is wanting to kind of just break away as well. They filed a complaint against Activision and Microsoft. One of them is like partially because of the um, unionization efforts they've been having, but also this is kind of how it started with Toys for Bob for their break off to become their own independent company as well. Which leads me to kind of think the same way that Tyler was here in his response, and Vicarious Vision might be next. Because it would be nice to
Yeah,
see
I
there
would
not
say.
be 18 different support studios for COD. Which is funny because we're recording this the day
Yeah,
that Black Ops 6 launched.
yeah, it is. It's what timing. But I don't think any of us have anything to say about Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
I played the beta,
But
but I also
yeah,
got it free for being an Xfinity customer.
nice. I mean, my only thing is I'm kind of interested to see how this will affect Game Pass because, like, when I was looking at sales for like games this month, because there's a lot of games this month to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
but like COD, of course, was like near the top of the list. But interestingly, like the PlayStation version, I think is like what was far and away like the highest. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. The Xbox players will get it through Game Pass. So
And
I'm
also,
curious
like,
how Microsoft will deal with that.
yeah, and also the player base for PlayStation has always been bigger than Xbox's. Which is kind of why the deal for having it day one on Game Pass was such a huge push to get people to switch platforms, essentially. Because even back in when I played somewhat competitively, it was I can't say competitively because I wasn't as into Call of Duty as I was Halo. Hello, Hades. I know. You just want all the attention. Surprise cat. But like it was just a bigger player base on PlayStation. That's why I switched to playing on there because it was more competition for me. But it was also increasingly more toxic on PlayStation than it was on Xbox. And get off of the desk, Miss. What I was afraid of.
That's a little surprising, actually. But then again, I think the PlayStation fan base has its own toxicity, as
Yeah.
I've seen very recently. Because even when they're getting like good games and stuff, it's like still just like weirdly petty. But I don't think COD is going to really shift platforms all that much because it's like, okay, if like COD's like the one game you need to play, it's probably easier just to buy it on the system you own than go get a subscription that you're not going to want to like keep. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Then
But we'll see. I
yeah,
mean, if it doesn't work out, then we could see Game Pass making a pretty big shift. That's the only really interesting thing I have to say about COD. Otherwise, I don't play COD. I don't really care.
I'm also like curious how many studios that got swept up by Microsoft are now being pushed into the back burner to be COD support as well because since Activision's under that umbrella and they bought a bunch of smaller studios, if Raven and Vicarious Visions join Toys for Bob and filing and becoming independent, how many of those smaller like indie studios will be like, well, now you are part of the COD team, you know? It does lead to some ramifications that I don't think a lot of people actually think about. But I also
Possibly, but Microsoft has so many IPs that they're seemingly developing, as we saw in their direct, which we will not be talking about because that was a while ago now. But
oh yeah,
yes, they have a lot of games.
exactly.
So I don't know how many they could really afford for support, but yeah, who knows?
And unsurprisingly,
But
we have the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League team getting hit with massive layoffs in this time frame as well. Basically, halving
and
its size of the QA team. Uh, one of them was made
QA
yeah,
redundant in the
department.
middle of paternity leave. which sucks extremely much for them. You know.
That literally goes against laws in so many different countries. But that's aside.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's America for you.
Uh.
It's funny what's just like straight up illegal in other countries that companies can get away with here. But I think the comment I made on this is, okay, so we're losing people because this game didn't work. Makes sense, but we're losing the QA people. I feel like that's just going to lead to a spiral downwards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in most companies, not just like Rocksteady, a lot of companies, the QA team is always looked down upon, and that's the first team that always is being laid off in companies. Sad, but yeah, it's just going to ruin the company.
So season 3 just dropped, right? And I went and looked at SteamDB when the season dropped. Get on the key. It had, at the time I looked, 142 people playing the game on Steam. Now that's obviously just Steam. That's not Epic Game Store, which I highly fucking doubt that there's a lot of people playing it there. It's not counting Xbox. It's not counting, the PlayStation copy of it, any of that. But it's just crazy how much of a flop this game was. And I don't think that it was supposed to be as laughably bad as it was, because it seems like they had ideas. They had essentially the concept of a plan, but just incredibly poor execution. And I feel bad for Rocksteady because this is their first big miss. Like, legitimately, it is their first big miss. And
yeah, I mean, on the positive end, we have like a new Batman Arkham VR game, which is supposedly like really good from what I've heard.
Yeah,
I mean, it's also exclusive like for the Quest 3, but
I'm not getting a Quest 3 just to play a 4-hour tech demo. As much as I want to support them.
Some people apparently are though. Because again, I was looking at Amazon pre-orders for sales, and it was up there.
Well, it's
Quest
also
3 sales,
the holidays, so it's VR is always one of those
yeah.
big grabs for that.
Yeah, and it makes sense then to release it. So good for Quest and the VR platform getting a good exclusive, but like, and Rocksteady could use the win, but it's like kind of like a very small victory compared to like the colossal failure of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's a pack-in title too for the Quest 3 now for the holiday bundle. I'm not
honestly with Suicide Squad in general. It's just like the anime that recently released. It was a mixed bag. And the movies, of course, have always been a bit of a mixed bag.
You can't tell me that Peacemaker's thing, like magical girl transformation, wasn't the most American thing you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, that was so good. But that was like an episode. I watched through the whole thing. So I'm just saying it was like the most generic isekai, like with DC characters.
Yeah, like they probably were pitched an isekai and they're like, how can we make this about an IP? I know, Suicide Squad.
Honestly, I don't think so. Based on what I've seen, it's not the isekai itself was not very well thought out at all. It's like as bare bones as it gets, even by isekai standards. And I think I would know that. So I think they literally were like, we need the Suicide Squad, and then they just thought we'll just put him in an isekai, and didn't
also
think
get
too
Mori
much past
Calliope to do the OP.
Yeah.
Why not?
And the ED and OP, those are quality.
Yeah, like they put most of the budget into that apparently. It's funny though. Like I really do wish Rocksteady the best because I love the Arkhamverse, but like it's gonna be hard to recover from that. We also saw
it is
an acquisition of Hoppo Games from Valve, and that's the team that made Risk of Rain. And this came shortly after Risk of Rain 2's catastrophic update, where it just borked all the code and made it unplayable, apparently. So it's kind of
that's
weird. So we'll see.
Like I bought the first Risk of Rain, but something went wrong. I think when I tried to launch it, so I actually never went back to it for that reason. So I can't have an opinion on the game.
Yeah, and we also in the period of between this is we saw the death of Concord, Rest in peace. You lasted like
Yeah.
14 days. Uh,
That was a whole thing. It's funny how
My
that was just like a while ago.
yeah.
my game of the year contender.
Oh, shut up. We just had this discussion
Listen.
yesterday. We had this
Just
discussion.
imagine.
We had this discussion
Just-
off camera yesterday. Shut the fuck up.
For party gems, just imagine Concord wins Game of the Year.
Then it will become the industry plants of industry plants. And it's already pushing that.
Yeah, I
because-
mean, because like most of the time when people like talk about like reviews being bought or something or other, like, it's hard for me to buy it. Like I'm more likely to buy people have biases towards companies like Nintendo and like Naughty Dog, but like yeah, if Concord wins anything, it's just like nah. Sony just used whatever money they had.
They pulled
to
it
make
out of
look
their
good.
like software division budget and like, please give Concord anything. He's coming back next year. Because they have to do something
Yeah,
with the
and that's still like that Amazon show, right?
yeah, it has
or
secret
Amazon episode, I should say.
yeah. I forget the name of it if someone wants to pull it up. But
It doesn't matter. No one's gonna watch it.
I am, because it's got a fucking bunch of different games I actually care about. There's a God of War one in it. There's a fucking 40K one in it, and I love 40K, so I'll watch it. But
Yeah, I
like,
heard Space Marines 2 was good.
it fucking yes. I cannot wait for the DLC for that game. But there's literally no way they aren't going to do anything else with this IP because they've pushed Concord into that show. They had a massive marketing budget for this game. So taking it offline and exploring better options is their excuse for it. The whole problem is they put a $40 price tag on this game in a genre that is so goddamn oversaturated with free options.
I mean, they probably are gonna do what they're doing with or what Square's doing with the Foam Stars. I think that also happened after our last podcast.
I missed that one.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, Foam Stars, for those who don't know, is like the Splatoon clone that Square tried to do, and nobody played it, as far as I know. But so they decided, let's just go free to play with it. And I think they gave like the people who bought into it some small cosmetics or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, Concord, I think, is going that same direction because it's the only thing that makes sense at this point.
I know Foam Stars was under a lot of hate because there was some potential generative AI use in it. I'm not entirely sure about it. I got it free with PlayStation Plus, so like, well, I'll eventually play it, and then I never have yet. It's just sitting in my library. Because like even Splatoon, I had fun with it for what it was, but it just wasn't. It didn't scratch that itch as much as it does for Red for me. So like it's whatever. And this definitely just seemed like it was a clone of that. But yeah.
I might play it someday. Now it's free to play, but it's also not like priority, especially with all the games that have just entered the backlog very recently.
I find it funny that like Sony was
Even Space Marines looks pretty good, and I haven't played a 40K game in like years. So
I highly recommend going through the original Space Marine and then playing number 2. It is possibly one of my top 5 games of the year. And I didn't really play a whole lot of new stuff, admittedly, this year. I played a lot of older stuff, but it definitely is worth a play. I wouldn't pay full price for it, because obviously you have as big a backlog as I do. So, yeah. But Sony was still sending out, like, emails about Concord as it was getting pulled.
I mean, I do have it in my library. I was trying to remember if Space Marine was the one I played before. Because, this was 2011, so this might have been the game I played.
Probably.
Because, like, the way I got into the 40K series, like, 2 of my friends from high school, one of whom actually recently got engaged, he sent me a message. He said, it's like, oh, this game's really good, you should play it with us. And I did for a little while. But, it wasn't really, like, my type of game for, like, multiplayer. But I really had a lot of fun with the gameplay. But yeah, it was just since 2011, so this might have been the game. Let me go to my Steam library, look at the hours played.
There was
Anyway, yeah, we can probably go on to the next topic.
yeah, like I played it around the same time. I think it was one of the games that was like heavily discounted when Sony got hacked. Is how I got it. But
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I played Dawn of War. I think that one's the one I played.
yeah, probably not around the same. But anyway, at
That's
the
what's kind of annoying with the 40K franchise because it looks cool, but it's hard to keep for me to keep track of. I guess 40K or sorry, Space Marine is just something I picked up at some point. Looks like in 2018,
probably one was on like a
probably to like a
399
bundle or
sales.
something.
Yeah, it's been like Space Marine One has been so heavily discounted too. It's um somebody put the stats like
I
as
have
the
a lot of Warhammer games that I just did not know about. Mechanicus Chaos Bane. Okay.
they did a bundle at one point. Humble Bundle did. That might
Yeah,
be
it
how
might
I
have
got
been
it.
from a bundle.
But yeah, like somebody Okami13 on Twitter posted like the end of service launch or end of service stats from Steam for Concord. At the time it was like 110 players, which is fucking crazy. For something that had that big of a marketing budget to have that low of a player count is insane to me. Ubisoft has been repeatedly just shooting itself in the dick for the last month and a half. In September, their
Yeah,
stock tanked
which
to
I guess it's a
10 year.
good thing to talk about this now because like Ubisoft is at the point where it's like, okay, we need to do an internal evaluation.
Yeah,
And it's like so many leaks have been coming out that they themselves had to come out and respond. It's like, okay, yeah, some of this is true.
some of this is true. Some of this is exaggerated. Please buy our product.
Yeah.
They
I
hit a ten
mean, I
year
think the
low.
last thing we talked about was like Rayman. They mentioned they were working on something, but you seem to be pretty in doubt.
Yeah, they hit a 10 year stock low after Star Wars Outlaws launched, which was a buggy mess, which is the Ubisoft normal, um, or the modern Ubisoft normal. Anything post Unity, it's been one of those things where like you just expect a massive amount of bugs day one, and then buy the game 3 months down when they fucking patch the hell out of it. But seeing it tank to a 10 year low to where a few weeks later they're like, well, now we're going to search for like maybe making the company private, and the Guillemot family and Tencent, I believe it was going to do like a buyout potentially of the remaining stock to kind of drag it back off the stock market or whatever. Uh, it's insane how far the company has fallen, because like I've said off camera, like I went from like the number one Ubisoft dick sucker to like the number one hater in the last year or so, because they've made so many horrible choices, and none of them are for like the generic YouTube reasons that I'm not a fan of it. I'm tired of playing the same carbon copy game 50, 60 times over. Um, it's fucking stupid to me how they've turned everything into a Far Cry Light and have consistently fucked over their studios. But we saw that pop out right around the
Yeah, we
beginning.
saw them with delay their Assassin's Creed thing, which hopefully will do something for it, but I doubt it because it's coming out at the same time as Monster Hunter Wilds, I believe.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna
Dead
be
on
weird.
arrival.
Um, Potential insider trading for GameStop was happening near the beginning of the month, or a bailout uh, on the stock price, but there's no confirmation of that, so we're not going to dive too deeply into that. Secret Level was the name of the show. For
Yeah, nothing really to talk about there. I mean, because we don't really know. And it's been enough time that we probably would have heard something.
yeah,
Oh,
but
secret level. Oh, okay. So, yeah, at least we kept track of that.
it was the next next thing after
Wait, Tim Miller.
we Ann Arbor and I suffered during Tokyo Game Show because there was nothing about Kingdom Hearts. I still
Yes,
it's still weird to me that they haven't said anything really other than the potential of this being the last game for our beloved Overlord Nomura. Which makes sense, honestly, because he's at the age where most Japanese men retire. But it's still sad that Missing Link / KH4 will be the end of his saga. But will be a nice jumping on point for people, apparently, as well, because he said he wants to make it more accessible. Which, what are your thoughts on making Kingdom Hearts more accessible, Ann Arbor?
first of all, how does he define accessible? Like, are you still going to need to learn the fucking law of all the other games beforehand?
Well, considering the black box at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 is still a thing,
That's the black box of the fucking universe.
I'm assuming that's going to tie together at the beginning of the Quadratum saga, and then that'll be, the end of that.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, we start a new era. The Xehanort saga has ended now, so we are literally starting a brand new one, starting with Union Cross, Missing Link, and 04.
is Union Cross considered part of the new the new saga, or is this considered like the end of the old saga because of Dark Road?
It literally explains the whole fucking start of 4 with like what is a fictional universe, what's a fictional world, everything. But it's like the foundation for the new saga was all laid in Union Cross.
So they made that both of them, because Union Cross, the original version, was the prologue of the Keyblade War, and then the fucking dark. I hate you, Nomura.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am happy that Nomura
It sounds super accessible. Just gonna say.
A delisted mobile game is your bridge to the new story. Fucking Christ. I'm glad I still had it in my Apple library.
That reminds me of like when Square was like, let's make a mobile game gotcha for Final Fantasy VII and just use that to get people into the series. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. It was a bad idea.
It was like the whaling game of whaling games.
We do not talk about the Square Enix gacha games. They are all horrible.
And they're almost all delisted at
I mean,
this
like
point.
the best one they probably have is like the Octopath one, but the actual gacha system still sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And we say that as all three of us are gacha addicts.
Yeah.
Yes. So we know what we're talking about. It's not just all mobile games are bad.
Lord have mercy.
I am literally grinding. I am literally playing mobile games right now.
I have.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm doing ZCZ.
I'm playing Fate Grand Order.
I'm here making sure this recording doesn't crash because I don't know how well the fucking hotel Wi-Fi is going to hold up. So,
yeah, we picked a great time to do all this. Anyway.
But Tokyo Game
Show. The next topic I did want to.
Was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, the next topic I did want to talk about was I forgot some of my links don't expand like our Twitter does. So there was like an Until Dawn remake. It sucked. So there's surely to talk about.
They managed to make a almost 10-year-old game even uglier than it was already. And the old Until Dawn looked great for that time.
That's what's so fucking crazy to me, is how do you uglify a game that looked magnificent? And I genuinely, like, the UI, the fucking graphics, the lighting, everything is arguably worse. And then I had to stop back.
It does happen sometimes.
I had to stop back and remember that, like, the Life is Strange remasters exist, and they had the same lighting issues. So it makes me wonder, is it an engine thing? Is it just a laziness thing? Or is it the fact that...
Were they both made by the same studio, by the same team?
No.
Alright, then most likely it's an engine thing.
Yeah, it has to be, like, them learning the new engine, which, fair, but also this game didn't need a fucking remaster. I'm gonna
They
say
did
it.
not. I mean, the reason they're doing it is because they're making Until Dawn projects, and because they teased a potential sequel at the end. So they're trying to make another IP too, essentially. Now.
Yeah, for some reason. I think it needed a remastered remake because or just an update because
They gave it an update.
yeah, because the controller, it has like a sentry control with you need to stand still. That input over there was so fucking garbage that you could literally not even touch the controller and it would read it would misread an input in it
Yep.
with like the control sentry. It needed an update in that regard, but
Yeah.
it never got one for the PS3.
I do want to say like one thing that we haven't brought up yet, which is I thought the game's like biggest issue, which like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, has like a lot of unnecessary remakes coming out and having been done. But one thing that I think at least it did well is that it had like an upgrade path where if you own the old one, you can just get the new one for like $10 more, which is fair. But this one doesn't have that, and I don't know why.
Also,
Because then
they
it's like you have to pay
delisted
full
the
price for
original.
a worse game.
They delisted the original too. So
Yeah.
Now
But
you-
From Software did that with Dark Souls 2.
which made sense for
Yeah,
Dark Souls
I mean
because
that's
there
one
was
thing I do have to give like Sega at least with like their recent remake, which I promise I won't spam about this whole discussion, but at least they kept it in Steam through the
bundle.
bundle for like a legacy games, and that's pretty cool because like none of the mods would have worked for the new one, even though the new one is definitively better in every way.
It's based.
How long till somebody makes a titty mod for Rogue? Over under?
I would
It's probably already
disappoint.
done.
I would be
Like
disappointed.
I'm already
if
seeing
it-
all the
Yeah,
mods that people are
literally.
doing.
If we wouldn't get one in like day one, I would have been disappointed.
Actually, I'll just go on Game Banana and just check why not.
Holy shit! But like, it made sense for like Dark Souls because didn't they have like the massive like security breach with their servers?
No, that was after it.
I was after. Well, then never mind.
It was literally just they remastered it for Switch and the new gen consoles, and they put it on Steam for like if you had the OG, you got like a 50% sale on it.
That's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, I mean the remastered cost $40, the OG costed 20, so you would literally just save the money you spent on the OG one.
Pretty cool.
But like they delisted for original one, which had like a lot of mods and shit, which took
Yeah.
some time to be updated.
So
be updated,
then we
but-
have Sony.
Yeah, Rouge model Fix V1 already listed on Game Banana.
Took a day. Took a fucking day.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go, Gooners. Go jack off to Rouge the Bat.
11 hours ago. Came out day one of game.
Sonic fans stay undefeated. Sony
Monica
CFO
Beauty is pretty great.
came out and said they don't have enough original IP, which they're fucking brain dead.
Oh yeah. This was the one I really wanted to talk about because I remember seeing this and I'm like, this can't be real, right? Someone just took over Sony effectively because this is a new CFO, and it's like, man, we just don't have any first-party IP. I guess we can't make any first-party IP games, guys. Just doesn't exist. And then like the same year, Astrobot came out. The same year that had a game all about Sony IPs, and they're not all first-party, but like. Most of them are like associated with Sony. So it is just so hilarious that they're one of the most successful games is the exact opposite of what their CFO is saying.
What is it?
Sony, listen to me. Sony, if anybody of Sony hears me, just make a Bloodborne remaster and we would be happy.
You know, I'm with you on that one. If for nothing else, to hear the Bloodborne community shut the fuck up, but also, like, out of every game that has had a remaster that was basically, like, funded by Sony, that is the one that has not. I genuinely don't understand how hard it is to fucking remaster that game. Unless FromSoft is just like, nah, we don't want to do it.
I mean, From Software can't do anything. That IP is Sony owns the IP, and Sony did the same with Bluepoint. They just do not. They didn't care. They don't care for From Software's input in that shit.
My only guess is that if Sony's anything like Sega, like they probably are aware. Like for some reason, their most popular like games, they'll sometimes just won't remaster just because they want to save that for like a much bigger project down the line. Like we still like Sonic 1 and 2 both got like remasters made, but we never did Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but based on Origins that was probably due to music licensing issues courtesy of Michael Jackson. But with Sonic adventure games, like those are the ones people have always asked for remasters for, but still hasn't happened. And based on interviews, that sounds like it's because they want to wait for like having all the proper resources and funding to make something like really big for that kind of game. So hopefully, like that's the reason with Bloodborne. They just wanted to like wait for like the right time to release all that. But then I don't know, Nintendo released like Thousand Year Door remake just randomly this year. It was like a quiet year for Nintendo. They just sort of like, oh, let's
I
break
mean,
this bottle in case of emergency because we have no games to release.
it would make sense if they wait for Bloodborne remake for like PlayStation 6, as Bloodborne was also a launch title for the 4, and to repeat that and directly have people jumping to the new gen console. That's the only reason I could think about that they're not talking about it.
Yeah, there has
Yeah,
to
but
be
I feel
something
like
there.
that would be better if they weren't suffering so much like in their IP department, like right now. I mean, they do still have good games this year, but like they themselves in a financial report said they weren't going to be
They
like
have
any
good
real
games.
first party.
They also had Concord.
Yeah, that's true. At this point, they probably are like our plans have failed. Time to get Bloodborne.
In case of Concord, break glass, and it's just Bloodborne remaster. Uh,
I mean, it would work. I would jump on it.
yeah, I sadly probably would too, because it's been a while since I played Bloodborne.
I mean, that's pretty much what they do with the Pro. It's like, well, people don't like our Pro. We'll release an anniversary edition. Everyone will buy it.
Literally.
And
Um,
we'll slap a gray faceplate on it. Still won't bundle the goddamn disc drive because we're greedy, and then we'll make you also pay for the stand, but it's also gray, so you'll buy it. Consume. It's literally that Smiling Prince meme. It really is. Like I hate how real that's become this year. Like, it's not parody. I can't explain it any better than that. Bloodstain is having a massive update that they're still working on.
Still, I'm still surprised that they work on Bloodstained.
I fucking respect it. Like,
Yeah, but game's like 8 years old.
yeah, we had that.
Nothing much said about that.
Like there was a whole lot there to talk about, just like working on it. We had a Sony Direct announced. And
Yeah,
then,
that I think was nothing.
Yeah,
that was
that was the
the Pro announcement.
That was just the Pro, which we just kind of dunked on.
which
So.
just like I directly want to like what the actual fuck is wrong with Sony and the price for the Pro?
Yeah,
If you
I found the
adjust the
funniest thing like Jeff
PS3
Keighley.
for if you adjust the PS3 for inflation, it's the same price, Ann Arbor.
Except
What?
that's
No,
exactly why the PS3 took a while to get to.
I do not care for inflation. Why the fuck do I need to pay $200 more than any American? Just because I buy it in euro. What the actual fuck is wrong with that shit?
Use a middleman
It's
shipping,
true.
broke boy.
Yeah, but when I can't then I need to buy the American fucking CDs for it. But so I don't have them in German.
I agree with everything you're saying, my guy. Like I do. It's stupid. There's no justifiable.
But it's not even worse. If you are living in Britain, I'm happy for you. It costs almost. I think it costs even more than for me.
I literally do not understand any of this. Like, it does not. The minor upgrade and AI upscaling is not worth a $200 price difference between the original PS5 and the Pro here. I'm sorry, Sony. I'm not paying this unless you make something exclusively for the PS5 Pro. I refuse to buy this shit. Watch them do that now. Uh,
Everybody should fucking refuse to buy it. This is what the actual fuck. People, just because I live in a different place, should not pay $200 more than people in America.
just build a PC. Everything is coming to PC anyway. Like,
Pretty much.
Literally.
it's not even a full year anymore. I understand. I understand the logic behind a console and people wanting the ease of like use and everything, and not having to like build it themselves or find a pre-build that actually keeps up with things.
It's
I understand that.
it's also a lot of safety. Also, people just know that they'll fuck up something with the PC with like if they download something wrong and and they're getting hacked and shit like that. That's also what I hear a lot.
I understand all of that, but at this point, it's more
I don't.
financially responsible to buy a PC and just wait the year to play a game. Like, you can go a year without playing God of War 3. I promise you. But yeah, it's
So,
a thing.
there was some. I mean, after like the stuff with Sony, there was some stuff with like layoffs in Microsoft. Which, I mean, you think you recently posted the CEO got some crazy money during all this time
$30
of laying off
million.
people.
I believe it was $30 million. We'll
Yep.
get to it. Like we had the
Then after that was Annapurna stuff.
650 people from the gaming department of Microsoft, and they didn't say like any specific studios. It was just like the gaming division. And then after Annapurna's owner wanted to explore different things, the entire staff just quit. So that's a thing. I'm extremely excited about this one, though, because I had so much fun with this game when it first came out. Singularity by Raven Software received a Xbox Store relisting, which means Activision overall might be doing that thing it does every couple years and relisting their games, which means potentially, hear me out, the Transformer games might get relisted. That's my like, please. I don't want to spend $150 for the Transformers games. Just relist them.
Stop with your copium. Stop with your copium.
It is pure copium.
I mean, Transformers could use a win after Transformers 1 underperformed in theaters.
It was
You get your Transformers games if I get my Bloodborne remastered.
That's about how it'll go, by the way. Because it's the one Activision property that has not ever been relisted.
Yeah, but that might also have to do with the Transformers IP, which, you got to blame Hasbro for, I think, right?
Yep.
I think they own it right now.
Sadly, they do. How long before they start auctioning off?
Yeah, Hasbro movies do not turn out pretty good. Yeah.
So apparently 4A Games and Zen Studios were going to remain within Embracer Group, but they sold off Saber, which is weird because they just bought Saber like last year, I think. I'm guessing.
Who knows what's going to happen within Embracer Group? I mean, they did talk about some AAA games under their belt, but I'm not sure if I'm particularly interested in what Embracer Group has right now.
It's crazy because like Embracer Group just absorbed so many studios with during the pandemic, and now we're seeing the market kind of reset itself to a pre-pandemic point, which always was going to happen, because financially we weren't going to see all of these like wonderful abilities for everybody to work from home and all the like craziness that came with that. As much as I would like to sit on my ass and do nothing and work from home, it's never going to happen because capitalism is a bitch. But it was also like the financial freedom of not having to rent offices and all this other extra bullshit that came with it. Now that we're, coming back to that, sadly, it's going to either be sold off or we're going to have layoffs or something's going to have to give. And yeah, that's kind of what's been happening.
So 4A did the Metro games, and I think there was another Metro game that was recently announced, but I don't think they're working on it.
It was a VR title, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was, and I guess that's out of their wheelhouse, to be fair. So,
and Zen Studio does the pinball game, so it's
Woo!
probably not a huge team to begin with.
let's see. And the next thing was about GameStop's nationwide chains.
4,000 stores.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like GameStop selling off. Basically, just GameStop dying.
I mean, literally, GameStop was being what kept alive by the fucking hold the stonks meme.
Yeah. Well, also,
They-
think about it. We're moving, as much as I hate to admit it, like we're moving more and more towards a digital.
I
space.
think it's only dying for me.
Yeah, no, that's also happening. At first, I thought I wasn't hearing him because
No,
my headphones.
It's just Vex just being Vex.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Yeah,
we can
okay,
hear
you sound okay now. Yeah.
Okay. So it might just be a little bit of a lag on my audio to you guys, but we're moving more and more towards the digital marketplace as we go further into like streaming culture and shit. So there's really, sadly, no need for GameStop to exist at this point. It makes sense for retro
But also,
games.
I think recently there was a report about PlayStation sales, and I think the all digital version is still like much less bought than the physical, which makes sense. I mean, you're basically just choosing a product that can't play discs.
Yeah. I figure a lot of that comes down to the fact that most people just want to have a Blu-ray player or a 4K Blu-ray player, I guess. I don't know entirely. But, I'm a big, physical media person, so it saddens me as we go more and more towards the streaming-only culture that we've kind of found ourselves in. And as streaming services become more and more greedy, I'm much more keen to buy a fucking Blu-ray, rip the file off of it, put it up in a media server, and stream from there than, say Netflix. That kind of thing. But yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I do pray for the downfall of the GameStop because I do not need a fifth Funko Pop store to exist, even as somebody that does buy occasionally Funko Pops.
Oh my god, yes, what actual fuck. Every GameStop store in Germany has like a giant wall full of Funko Pops. And I want to burn all of them.
I want the obelisk one that's exclusive to GameStop, but that's about all I need for my Yu-Gi-Oh collection at this point, other than Rainbow Dragon. But yes, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% there. We saw Hard Drive cooking Jeff Keighley, which was wonderful to see. That was actually newsworthy to me because fuck Jeff Keighley.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other thing I mentioned, like an indie studio, I like we're losing the people behind like Sonic Mania, and a new platformer, Penny's Big Breakaway, which I haven't played yet, but it did seem like a really promising 3D platformer. So just like kind of sad for an indie studio I like, because it's not even just like the big studios that have been like greedy and screwing things over. They've kind of screwed over the whole industry.
6 people, but it's still 6 people from a very small team, so it's sad to see that. But yeah. It's crazy.
Let's see.
There's
sorry, were you gonna say something, Vix?
PS6 is apparently already deep in development with backwards compatibility, high importance. Push Square.
Yeah, I got that one from Push Square, and I mean that makes sense. Although I have to say, it's gonna be funny if it's like if the PS4 starts playing PS6 games. I think we would have gone too far by that point.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? Because like when you think backwards compatibility, you think like, well, I should be able to play PS1 games on my PS6 at that point, right? I don't think we're going to go that far back. I think that's why they have the tiers in PlayStation Pluses are going the emulation route for things like that. I think maybe at most we'll see PS3 games be backwards compatible, and even that's pushing the limit, right? Because of the coding, the everything that goes into
The
those.
hardware, apparently.
Yeah, it's the way the fucking PS3 was made is what made it so difficult to make it backwards compatible.
Yeah.
I would love to see full backwards compatibility like we see with the Xbox land, the landscape there, but I highly fucking doubt that we're going to go that far because every single PlayStation system has had such vastly different architecture. Now emulating it perfectly feasible because we have teams of 5 people making emulators for this shit. Um, but we'll see when we get to that how far back we go.
Yeah. And who knows when the PS6 will come out? Could be 2 years from now. Could be 4.
Yeah. Fuck EA.
Oh yeah, something about AI use, which of course EA is
Generative
ones who would
AI
do
is
it.
at the very core of our business.
Woo! AI! We love AI in this house.
I will fly to Germany and never mind. I want this
Try
sound.
it.
I want this video to at least potentially get ad space.
Imagine.
And then I think there was something you wanted to talk about, this Star Wars Jedi game.
Yeah, I'm not shocked. That this is the final chapter in the Cal Kestis saga because they kind of set up like a finale at the end of Fallen Order. Uh, but I'm kind of sad that it's the end because I like Cal Kestis as a character, and it's like the one Star Wars thing that has been good in the last 5 years, other than Mando, and even Mando became boring. So yeah, we got that. I wonder if they're going to use the generative AI technology in this though, because let's be real, they're pushing AI and Disney's pushing AI. It makes sense for this to be an AI based project.
I mean, we all knew that AI-based projects are becoming will get more and more spotlight and development.
Yep.
Sad to see this in our lifetime, but still.
I want AI to fucking clean my toilet, not take away the arts. I'm just talking.
Please. Imagine you have a robot to clean your toilets. Do you know how much time that would save?
Yeah. Have you ever worked a bar, Ann Arbor? Can you
Have you
imagine?
ever worked in a clothing store?
No, I've worked a gas station and a bar, so I feel your pain. Um, but like give the robot some
Have
back
you?
shots for payment,
Always
Does the
remember.
YouTube AI
Always,
know what back shots means? I wonder.
always remember the company. The
Uh,
electricity for the AI costs more than the people.
yep. So
Just ask Google.
I love this one I put in here. I thought you put both these in here, but it was me. Horizon Forbidden West PS5 Pro version. Forbidden West remaster, Lego Horizon Adventures, and a Horizon multiplayer game. Who is running PlayStation Studios?
Yeah, I mean,
Because these are all
Horizon's never
actual.
been the allegations, but I heard that the Lego game is at least pretty good.
It looks
It's a Lego
decent.
game.
It looks decent. Travel Tales does good work with almost everything they make. So, it's good for them. I just why? Just why?
Uh, because
Well,
why develop new games if old game can be resold again? Square Enix did it with Kingdom Hearts, so why not? Why don't they? Shouldn't they be able to do it?
Me paying 15 times to play the original fucking Final Fantasy through the years.
Literally, see. So why shouldn't they do it? You have proof that it works.
See, the difference back in the day was you couldn't fucking port your shit over from Nintendo account to Nintendo
Alright,
account.
and how often did you buy Kingdom Hearts 2?
We don't talk about that, Andover. I literally have talked about it in content. I've even imported a fucking Final Mix version from Japan. So, yeah.
See, we are literally the proof that selling Horizon Zero Dawn 10 times works.
See, the difference there was, like, Kingdom Hearts at least had space between its remakes and remasters. Horizon hasn't even been out for 2 fucking years.
Kingdom Hearts also didn't have space between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix.
You know, that's valid, except for the fact that you couldn't patch a game back then. You had to make a new disc. Now you can patch this shit. There's no reason to actually sit there and remake and remaster every fucking 6 months like Sony's doing. They could just release a patch like, oh, we've enhanced the graphics for the PS5 Pro. Cool. Here you go. Have fun. Play our game again. But back in the day, you had to release a whole new fucking disc. That's why Final Mixes were a thing.
On another note, I'm going to sue you because you stole my mechanic.
Yeah. Nintendo Pokemon Company are suing Pal World maker Pocket Pair. One smart cummed in his jeans when he read this.
Wait,
Shout
what?
out to
Shots fired.
You cannot tell me that OneSmart supports Nintendo on that.
No, he does. Like, we had a whole discussion in the server about it. You could probably scroll back through the game. And we talked about it.
That's why we do not listen to Boruto fans.
I have Boruto fans coming
It's
for
funny
my
though,
throat.
because in
Go ahead.
Japan, actually, they are like very much on Nintendo's side for this. And I
Yeah.
found that hilarious.
I understand, like, if they were actively stealing every definitive monster and all the mechanics and all of that, but it's a fucking, like, leopard that they're like, well, see? They copied the leopard Pokemon.
They're suing not for that.
I know.
They are suing because you capture monsters and balls, and that's the crazy part.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just basing it off of the fans' arguments here. Like,
Yeah.
see,
And the sad part is the fact that Nintendo's probably going to win this bullshit legal argument.
Yeah, I think it's insane that in Japan you can copyright game mechanics. Yes, I think that's insane.
Say now doing it with gacha mechanics, and it's like it's a gacha game. That's just disappointing.
I mean, yeah, that's something Fragrant Order fans are crying about for years now.
Yeah.
That we are not getting quality of life features because for that reason. Because of that English best.
Yeah, it's funny because like they don't make different versions of this game for different fucking markets either. They just make one global version and one Japan version, right? And that's it.
Yes.
And usually the global version of said game gets shut down first, and then the Japanese server goes, shortly after. But
but to in their defense, Japanese people are way more inclined to put out money for gacha games or like mobile games in general. The same as Koreans for MMOs.
Yep.
The rest of the market, like America, Europe, are not that much inclined to spending money on them.
Perfect example of this. I think Party James and I were the only ones on this call that actually played it. I don't even know if he played it. The Code Geass gacha game lasted less than a year over
Yeah,
there.
I played it.
It lasted less than a year, the global version. And it technically is canon to the Code Geass universe as well, just like the fucking.
Why do people make canon mobile games?
Yeah. So
I don't know.
it's weird because like they're going the Fate route, right? Where there's different routes for the story at this point, like Route 1, Route 2, Route 3.
Listen, at least Fate it made sense. It was a fucking visual novel.
Right, and Code Geass kind of went the visual novel route with like here's like the main timeline for the original anime, here's the movie timeline, and then here's like the expanded universe where there's like Nonally in Wonderland and Rock v. Ashford and all this other random bullshit. Um, but like, there's something to be said about like the mechanics that they used in there, because they basically made like Advanced Wars with fucking like Fate's mechanics bundled into it for like FGO, which was kind of cool to
Mm-hmm.
me. I think part of that is why it potentially also got delisted globally, but also I don't figure there was a big market for Kogi-esque gacha game here either. There were diehard
I
Kogi-esque
don't
fans.
think. Yeah, I think Code Geass is just not even in the zeitgeist anymore. I bet most anime fans didn't even watch the original series.
Well, I mean, they did come out with like some new anime for it, though.
They
So it's
made
not like it's completely
movies.
dead as an IP.
Yeah, and like Rose Recapture was a thing that existed as well. Like it had some cool ideas, but like it's also like I feel the same way about it that I do about Akido the Exiled. Like it's cool, but it didn't execute properly. Um, I do like the fact that there was a super fruity mech though. Like it was overly gay, so that was funny to me. But yeah,
They do like the gay people in here.
the fact that they made the fucking mech act like that was cool to me. Like somebody had a lot of fun animating that, you could tell. Then Square Enix with their tagline failed to meet their sales expectations uh, for Final Fantasy
Yeah, I
16.
forget what this was in reference to.
Uh,
Okay.
and then we also have Foam Stars and Rebirth being talked about here.
Yeah, basically everything in Square just doesn't meet expectations. I don't know what's going on at the company.
I mean,
Eh,
What
Square
is their
expectations, but
expectations? Like, I
what
genuinely want
like
to.
I can explain. I have insider knowledge. Insiders being I made it the fuck up.
Okay, I was going to say, who the fuck do you know in Square Enix, and why haven't you given me access to shit?
So insider can.
Give me that development bill for Kingdom Hearts 4 right now, you bitch.
Listen, shut the fuck up, okay? Insider wants to stay anonymous, alright? He does not. He's only giving the games to me, alright? And only in my dreams to stay private, alright? Um. But no, I don't fucking know. I think they literally see what COD sells with like 10 million 10 million copies in the first month, and if their games don't achieve that, they are going to cry. That's what literally the only thing I can imagine.
At this point, that's probably the only logical explanation. But, like, here's the thing. You have the number 16 on one of these titles you're bitching about, right? You have
Yeah.
7 and a sub-tagline on the other one.
Yeah, I didn't get into Final Fantasy for most of my childhood because I genuinely thought you had to play all the games. It wasn't until after high school I realized, oh,
You are not
you
the
could just
only
play
one.
whatever.
You are
Like,
not the
that
only
is a
one.
fucking common thing. I legitimately don't understand the logic here, because, like, you just ported, like, Rebirth and Remake and Intergrade over to the PC. You had also, given it away free on PS5 for people to actually sit down and play it before Rebirth came out, right? But, like,
Literally, you could pre-order remake for the deluxe edition for Rebirth for
mhm,
99 bucks, and you would get a free version of Integrate with it.
yep. And it's,
That's what I did.
yeah, like, and with that, you could sit down and play through the entire story, as convoluted as it was, in their multiple branching timelines. I'm
We only have 6 different dogs to keep track of, okay?
I I want them to stick the landing, but I don't have 100% faith in that.
They 100% won't stick the landing, as they never did since Final Fantasy X.
Even 10 kind of fucked the landing up with 10 too.
We do not talk about 10-2, alright?
Like, we talk about 10-2 in the same light that we talk about 13-2 and 13 Lightning Returns.
Listen. Just make a game and stop after it. Just move on, for the love of God.
I like that they've done a trilogy of 7 though, in a way, because it tests the audience intelligence, which
It tests my patience.
it does mine too. But you can't argue that the fact that they would not be able to cram all this shit into one fucking disc.
No, I think it's insane how I think like making Midgar its own game was like the best idea they ever had.
Mhm.
But this is not the Final Fantasy podcast, because that will come on later this month.
Oh God.
That is a lie.
Thank you. Concord's dev budget was 400 million. I don't believe that number.
Supposedly, like I think that's like there were a lot of reports afterwards that made it very questionable. So, but I remember at the time when this first came out, everybody was like, "What?
I believe
You lost how much money?"
I believe 90% of that was marketing.
I would 100% believe that.
Because there's no way in hell they did that. The credits were over an hour long, so that's something.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, I mean, people worked on this game. That's all we should say.
People have worked on this game. Let's see how long we can keep saying this.
State of Play happened, Sonic Central, and a level 5 presentation all at once.
Yeah, there was like a couple things there, like with level 5. I mean, like I'm glad that some of their games are actually coming out. These games they announced like 2 years ago, um, and it, and then they also announced like a game that's like so early in development. They're like, we don't really have a title for this. Um, what was it called? I think we posted. No, we didn't. That's
Fantasy
fine.
Life 1
But
came out,
yeah, Fantasy Life is coming out like February. And honestly, I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad the game got delayed because it would have came out this month, and this month was so packed with games that it would have floundered. So it's actually a blessing in disguise. It's coming out in February or something. But the problem is that Nintendo is going to announce their next system soonish. So Fantasy Life's going to be one of like the last games that are like before that thing comes out, and then everyone's going to stop caring.
If we can trust the Game Freak leaks, the new Pokemon games are already being developed for the new Switch.
That makes sense.
Oh, the Pokemon leaks. Oh man, that's gonna be a whole thing to talk about.
We are going to talk about it a lot.
Strap in and grab some wine. We got a new Professor Layton.
Especially you, Typhlosion. We are looking at you.
Typhlosion did nothing wrong.
They all did it wrong.
My son did nothing wrong.
All
Holy Horror Mansion, that was the name. I'm glad you list all this stuff, Ann Arbor. It's very useful for these discussions because I don't remember a lot.
Yeah, I think it's important to always write a few comments to it, so we don't have to fucking rewatch a fucking trailer during this recording. Like saying that most of the games are fucking boring when Xbox Showcase. I noted 4 games which are interesting.
So we had Deca Police pop up during that. We had Professor Layton. I'm stoked for Layton because I've always liked that.
I literally didn't care for Professor Layton. Yeah.
That's fair. We have a soccer game. Nobody gives a shit.
What? How can you not give a shit about Inazuma 11?
It's soccer.
Yeah. Anyway.
What? I am so hurt. I am like the biggest soccer fan. The biggest.
I don't believe that.
I can't.
Like the biggest.
We got the new Yokai Watch game, if you want to call it that.
Well, I mean, it's not really Yokai Watch. It's just made by the same people, and it just looks like a Yokai Watch game. So it's like a spiritual successor, effectively.
We have Soul Reaver.
And that was the game I was saying is going to be coming at a weird time.
Yeah, no, it will probably come out right around the same time as the new Pokemon game, and it will fail, just like Yokai Watch did, because of that.
Yeah.
Man, I really like Yokai Watch design.
I did too. I have a Moon Banyan that used to be on my backpack.
That's hilarious.
The little string finally broke, so it's just sitting with my my frog plushie over on the bed here. Soul Reaver 25th anniversary is coming up, so we're getting Legacy of Kain 1 and 2 remasters. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, it was from the PS State of Play, which I think that and Keanu Reeves coming in Sonic and the last thing Ghost of Yota were the only things that were really big for that State of Play.
So that's pretty much it. Also, Fortnite getting its own controller was pretty cool. Ubisoft canceling their press previews of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Uh,
Yeah, man, that was surprising and hilarious. But yeah, we already talked about that. And yeah, that's the Horizon upgrade thing I mentioned earlier. Oh yeah, Ubisoft dropping their stream. That was funny.
That was extremely funny.
yeah, they canceled their planned Tokyo Game Show online stream due to various circumstances. Various circumstances being like, guys, we need to figure our shit out before we go under.
Guys, we need games to showcase.
Oxford
We
study.
forgot to do that.
Yeah. The Oxford study has shown that Power Wash Simulator, my comfort game of the last couple of years, improves mood.
Cringe.
Shut the fuck up.
Not as much as food or sex.
Now,
So
well, of
rather
course,
go outside and fuck. That's what we learn.
uh,
Well, this is ad break.
there we have Ghosts of Yotai coming in 2025, new DualSense and
Oh, the God of Yota, the best game ever, but it's not getting hate because you have a female protagonist.
it's a
Because-
woman in feudal Japan.
Because for some reason that is no bad thing. I mean, yeah, we always hated female protagonists and don't worship them like Samus Aran.
Oh God, I don't understand things like that. Stellar Blade and Nier Automata DLC collab we got coming out, which is pretty cool. Lego Horizons comes out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, reviews look pretty decent. So. It's just kind of funny. It's still not coming to Xbox, but everything else. Yeah, that'll always be the funniest thing about that game.
It's so petty. It's so petty. I kind of fuck with it.
Yeah.
The Lunar remasters, I'm really happy for because those are like really great games, and the new generation is going to be able to experience those for under $100. So that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
me.
was surprised how many positive things that people were saying about that game. So I might have to play it because when I saw it, I'm like, "Yeah, this doesn't look like anything." But then I saw the reception. I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe this is something."
this is being done by the same studio that did the Grandia HD collection, which I said while we were watching the stream.
That's good. I'd play that one. I think. Yeah, I did.
It was one of the better remasters. Which is hard for me to say because Gung Ho wasn't really known for that kind of thing for the longest time. They were more of a mobile game studio. But I guess it's like fucking sprite animation, so it's not as hard as like say a 3D development. That would make sense.
Yeah, you would think. So yeah, they should be able to handle it. It looks fine enough.
I believe in them.
The Assassin's Creed Shadows people had to release a whole fucking statement because of the GG2 people.
Yeah, because black people in Japan. Let's go.
I hate the grunge.
I hate Americans, I agree. I think we should all kill Americans.
And there goes the ad space.
Listen.
Wow.
You guys are not allowed to say like we should non-alive a group of people. I am allowed to say this. I am based like that. YouTube is on my side like that.
You know, unironically, I buy that because like every progression episode open with like, "Welcome to Ann Arbor and Drugs with Friends."
They never has had a problem with me saying drugs. YouTube and me are best friends.
And there it is. YouTube's board is launching an investigation into the company. 9/25, so like a week and a fucking month ago. Jesus Christ, it's the 20th. Holy shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's the PS5 like anniversary thing we mentioned.
PlayStation 5 Pro console 30th anniversary limited edition bundle deluxe supreme.
Okay, then we eventually get to an Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
And again, Ann Arbor came in clutch
$1,100,
with like
by the
listing
way.
everything.
$1,100
Yeah.
for the fucking
$1,100.
We do not talk
Well,
about
in
that.
Australia.
it's 1,600.
Oh wait, no, that's
American.
U.S. Never
Yeah.
mind. Yeah.
The regular PS5 Pro is 1,100 over in Australia, which is about.
I mean, the only disappointing thing, like I said, with that is just that people got happy about that news, and I'm like, what is wrong with you, Sony fans?
Literally, if you buy the PlayStation 5 Pro, I hope an anvil is falling on your head.
Now, come
Like,
on,
I actually
Brookborn.
had someone on my TL say, it's like, should I buy the PS5 Pro? I feel like I'm just going to buy it. And I'm like, why would you do that? Think
Listen.
about what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm going to max out my credit card for a console that'll be outdated in 2 years.
And man, I love the responses to like the tweet was just like, yeah, man, go for it. It's your money. It's like, think about where else that money could go.
I'm dropping a rent payment on a fucking game console. I hate that that's not even fake. That's like the average rent.
So on the Xbox
US.
Showcase. Yeah, there was a couple things. I mean, I don't think anything too big though, because I think this was just for TGS, right? So it was.
He is dying. He is dying.
Oh.
You got My Hero. We got,
oh yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just keep talking. Yeah. So they. Yeah, Vex, you're still cutting in and out. Anyway, so we have like some Starfield stuff, some COD, which just came out, and then Flight Simulator next year. So Microsoft has like some of their stuff finally coming out. And then Indiana Jones in December. So I'm interested to see if any of these actually pan out after waiting. But none of these are very exciting for me personally.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I don't really actually care.
Indiana Jones and maybe We Love Katamari. Are the
Okay,
other
now
ones
you're
I
back to
care.
normal.
But
I wrote down what I care about, like Legend of Mana, Slitterhead, Suikoden, and Threads of Time. That I really look forward to.
yeah, fantastic.
But I think some of those were announced beforehand, so we already knew those were coming out. Legend of Mana. Wait, was that the one that just came out recently?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because like, is that studio still around? Because I remember there was one studio that released like a game, and then they're like, "Well, we're out." I think it was that one, but I'm not sure.
Yep, that was
Threads of Time was nearly.
That was that one. Yeah, that's depressing. That game, Legend of Mana, looked really good. Like Ann Arbor was saying, and then that studio's just like, "Well, we can't benefit from this game anymore." So it's like, well, that doesn't encourage me to buy it like anytime soon.
I think it kind of does benefit like the parent studio, but like not the main studio. It's weird. The Suikoden.
I mean, if it like benefits the publishers, then I kind of care, but not that much because it's like Square.
Yeah, Suikoden getting your remake.
It's not going to meet the sales expectations. Like it doesn't matter whether I buy it.
That's true. Suikoden, I agree with Ann Arbor. I'm like wanting that one. Slitterhead looks amazing. Did you guys see the new monster design for Slitterhead?
No, I didn't.
Go to their Twitter. Go to their fucking Twitter. If they haven't taken it down. If not, I can send you a TikTok really quick.
No, I see it, yes.
It literally looks like a penis, doesn't it?
Literally.
I love that team has always dove into the psychological horror so much, because it's the same team that made like Pyramid Head and The Nurse and everything from Silent Hill. So having more and more body dysmorphia and shit thrown into it is pretty cool. But yeah, I saw that this morning. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on here? I'm going to say W for California here.
You're still cutting in and out of it just now, but yeah. Wait, how far
are you
now?
talking about? Yeah, quickly to of other games. Golden looks interesting. I'm just like huge RPG fan like that.
Okay, California. There's... oh yeah. I mean, I think there was like another thing with like Steam also in some countries saying that they only sell licenses, which makes sense for them to do.
Yeah, Steam did that directly for like most countries. Like I already saw that in Germany. Like before even we could make law for it, they just made it globally.
Can you guys hear me?
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then okay, there's that Tencent thing you were talking about. Now that we reached October. Unless you want to talk about that El Shadi game. I think you posted that. I don't have any thoughts on it because I don't know what that is.
Okay, so El Shadi is one of the last PS3 gen RPGs that lost licensing in the middle of their generation. The only way you could actually play this after the end of service on PS3 was through Steam because it stayed listed on there. So getting it a remaster means it's no longer lost media to that extent. So that's a big W for that side of things. And I think it is one of the most fun retellings of like that style of like biblical tragedy.
He died.
Well, he's back now. So.
I'm going to swap to my hotspot in just a second. And give me a...
Okay. Well, next is that. I guess we'll talk about some stuff, and he can go back to El Shadi. Because we did the Tencent thing already. Potentially buying Ubisoft. There was a fun meme there. And then, Ann Arbor, you posted something about From Software.
Yeah, From Software increased the pay for its developers that enter the branch. That enter like working there. Yeah, I then just talked about like the payment a bit of it because it's like still 1,800 euros. That's like $1,600. That is not a lot. That's a salary,
it's not,
of course.
but like you said, for Japan standards, it's good. So
yeah,
it's progress.
That's at least something positive we can finally say about development.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if anything, FromSoft is a good company to at least root for.
So, is that better?
I mean, it's better.
Much better.
I mean, Miyazaki came out that as long as they're a private company under his name, he is not going to lay off his team.
All right. So, that's big, positive from Software. Like, I'm happy that they're doing that.
From Software only catching W's, like normal.
Yeah, I like I was saying about El Shaddai. Like, it's like the antithesis to Dante's Inferno, essentially. So that's something I've always been a big fan of. But I do think that there is a crazy fucking potential here from Insomniac. I'm coping. I'm coping hard because that is
we are.
We're seeing the
Sunset Overdrive 2 would be so great, but the thing is, like unfortunately, we have seen the financial reports of Insomniac, which so we know that Sunset Overdrive. Yeah,
I think it was actually $11.
I think we made the joke last time that they went out for a sandwich.
Yeah, but like them dropping like that little teaser is pretty cool. I would love for it to actually be real. But
but at the same time, like now Sony owns them, so like it's gonna be some exclusive for PlayStation, and I mean they really should release it.
One of them's exclusive to the PC, the other PC/Xbox, and the other's exclusive to PS5. It's like actual hell.
This IP is so screwed. But yeah, hopefully we still get something. At least PC players, if we can get both, then hey, that's something.
Alien
I
Isolation.
still think if Sony's smart, they'll sell it to Xbox players as well because it's where the IP started. But
there's no chance of
I
that.
doubt it. They won't even put Horizon Zero Dawn Lego game.
Fucking Lego game won't even go on there. But yeah, like we have an Alien Isolation sequel after 10 years.
Yeah, really great news from Sega came out with that. They've been really killing it this year with like a lot of their stuff, and they have a lot of new stuff in the works that I'm looking forward to.
And then you have Nintendo being Nintendo.
Oh man, I'm waking up to this news because there were so many rumors. Like we don't really typically post like every single rumor we hear about here, but like I still follow like online rumors, and there were so many that Nintendo's going to reveal hardware in October. Well, the month of October has come and gone, and this was the hardware. The alarm clock.
That is like a pretty sick alarm clock, alright? It has Mario jumping in it, alright? That's like based and shit.
I can do the same thing with my fucking Apple Watch. It does not need to be
Listen, I can build this alarm clock for like $20.
Exactly. A Raspberry Pi can do this. It probably is a fucking Pico Pi inside there.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, we mentioned before, Nintendo's kind of like the Apple of the gaming industry. And much in the same way, they put out this alarm clock. People, Nintendo fans, will buy it.
And it sold out. It sold the fuck out.
Yeah. Of course it did. So it's just like Apple. They can just make whatever, price it at whatever, and, the consumer base will consume.
At least Apple fans have brains. They didn't sell out the Vision
Pro. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm using an iPhone right now, but I'm still saying I don't.
But like the stupid like Apple headset didn't sell out. Like the like Mac Pro didn't sell out. Like there's at least some brain power there. Nintendo fans bought fucking cardboard.
Well, to be fair, Nintendo at least they're smart enough to at least like limit supply. So, because like with Apple, I think they did something similar with their like hardware. Their what's it called? The VR thing.
Vision Pro.
Blanking on the name. Yeah, Vision Pro. That's it. Thanks. I mean that I think also like sold out, but that's because they only made so many, and they probably Nintendo did the same thing with this alarm clock, because it's an alarm clock. This is great. And then the next thing I think you posted after the alarm clock stuff was the Nintendo Switch Online playtest, which, this is a good thing to record much later because as of now, everything about this got leaked, and it's hilarious because Nintendo's going around copywriting everything to get it off the internet, but it's like too late.
What happened with this? Because I missed most of this.
Okay, I'll fill you in. So basically, and I guess this is from me being subscribed to a bunch of like channels that talk about Nintendo news, but they basically have like a game set up with this. Like this isn't just like some regular program, and it's kind of like I want to say it's sort of like an MMO, but it's like an RPG. It's like a bunch of players coming together to build up a planet. That's the idea of the game. And so they wanted to like stress test some servers and just see if we can get a bunch of people online and play this. So this is kind of, I guess, their way of trying to set up some kind of massive multiplayer experience, and I guess give more value to the Nintendo Switch Online stuff in general. Which, I mean, kind of cool. It's very Nintendo to be like doing something weird like this when a lot of us were like, yeah, cloud streaming would make the most sense. They probably want to improve that. And it's like, no, we're just going to try to make a new thing just all together. So anyway, yeah, people, as soon as it went live, posted pictures online, and then those pictures got pulled down very quickly. And then discussions went about
5 different copyright strikes from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it is so funny to me, and at least I'm glad it's like something interesting and not boring. But I still think Nintendo should have been more practical and just been like, let's test out like streaming and stuff, because their next hardware, whatever it is, even if it's like PS4 levels of power, PS4 Pro or whatever, it's still going to be like very underpowered in like just a couple years after it launches. Let's be real. So at least with streaming, they have something to kind of keep games still playable on their system.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way Xbox is planning for their next gen. So whatever, Nintendo's will do what Nintendo wants to do.
Yeah, it's weird to me because like Nintendo's always the underdog in every generation anymore. And that didn't used to be that way, but now that they've kind of just kind of floundered around and realized like they can be the fun console, which I'm happy for them being the fun console. It's one of those things where like how far back are we willing to put our hardware? And you're right, like having a streaming capability for a lot of the games that is better than what we've seen for the Switch would be a fucking killer, for them. Because like I don't know if anybody here tried to play the mobile streaming version of like Kingdom Hearts or Biohazard.
I did not, but I heard it was bad.
I did it for Hitman, and you would think with Hitman you would at least have some form of optimization because it is like pinpoint accuracy timing, right? It was probably close to a minute of delay between shot to shot on that. And I had at the time like my good gigabit internet, and obviously now I'm using a hotspot to finish this recording. So it's a big difference there. But still, like that would be the equivalent of like most public Wi-Fi in the US right now is, that hotspot connection. Obviously, most of us have a 5G phone now, so it would need to be able to have that capacity. Would even the Switch 2 have the capacity to stream over 5G? Whereas, barely even on my actual like good internet, I could barely play a game through that, which is the same way that the original launch of xCloud was. But it's always been that bad for the Nintendo Switch One's like streaming capability. So I'm hoping whatever they do now is better to like what xCloud is now. But time's going to tell on that one, and I don't have faith in them going streaming first with that. I figure they're going to do the Nintendo thing, which will be interesting to see what that is.
It is interesting that you bring up xCloud though, because like in my experience, xCloud has gotten much better than it used to
yeah.
be. But I've heard that like at this point, and this is just based on things I've heard from like channels like Spawn Wave and whatnot, where I get my gaming news. But I've heard that like PlayStation now is like better streaming than Xbox does, which I found kind of surprising if true.
It's actually pretty good. I did stream most of Ratchet and Clank when I played through it.
Oh, nice. That sounded like an easy one to do. So, okay, good on Sony. Because I did think that, that was something they were working on, but I didn't think they got that far. But I guess that was wrong.
I did it solely because I had to uninstall something. And I'm like, well, it's streaming capable, and I'm hardwired in, so that might also have something to do with it. Because let's be real, the download speed of the PS line of consoles is not great. But
yeah.
So I always tried to stay hardwired with that. But still, like, it's still better than my experience with a lot of the xCloud stuff, which is good. Microsoft is selling games directly in the Android mobile app next month, apparently.
Yeah, like basically the courts have gotten Android in trouble for a lot of their stuff, which, I mean, good job, U.S. court system. You did something right. All this other stuff about giving presidents like unlimited power, that's kind of crazy. But hey, at least we got gaming better now.
But also, game preservation, no.
Yeah.
Game preservation, yeah. What's that?
We're going to bow down to the
yeah, but
I do find it funny that it's Android and not Apple.
Because like Apple still has to be taken to court effectively. Because like Android, I guess they had an easier time first.
Well, I guess it's mostly because Apple's mostly just always been that walled garden of tech. But
yeah, and also they just have like their own like I mean, I think Europe is more kicking their ass right now.
Yeah.
Which also, thank you Europe for that. But hopefully, the America follows up on it.
We always kick Apple's ass. We like that.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
good stuff.
here it is, the Pokemon leak.
All right, where do we want to bet?
So in the beginning,
Uh,
Typhlosion was giving back shots.
So in the beginning, it was all fun and games. So like 1,000 over 1,000 people were dogs. That was the fun part for most people. Other than
Yeah.
that, we got a few stories leaked, all written by one single person.
This
That
person
woman is
was
great, by the way.
this person peak Gooner material. Like
I love it. But whoever you are, we know your name, we know that she's a woman, and who you are peak. You are so peak.
and your name fucks an auxiliary.
To be fair, nothing, any one of her stories, not a single one of them, is worse than whatever we have in Greek mythology.
Yeah, no,
I want
literally.
Yeah,
to
and that's
clarify that
actually
shit.
what I love about all this is because people are freaking out, but it's just like it's kind of cool that they try to make the mythos as fucked up as like actual
Yes,
mythology in the real world.
and I think that's so great about it. The stories are whatever. Like, who the fuck cares that Typhlosion R-worded a child?
And I
It
like
just
how the Digimon fan base, like after all this came out, they were like, "Yeah, ours is probably much worse," and we'd be
Yes.
surprised if it wasn't.
Literally, I am still surprised we do not have Pawnmon.
Yeah,
You know what? Good point. You know, as fucked up as Digimon is, that's a good fucking point.
but
We
I
had like beta
uh,
sprites drop, we had animation cells drop, we had all sorts of shit. Centro.
we also had some games that we learned that were canceled. I think Pokemon Synapse was like one of them, and like Pokemon Rodeo was like another one.
Yeah, we also got like that they had an MMO in development,
And Pokemon
but
MMO
that
did it
was
better.
cancelled. Pokemon would have done 100% a better job at that. Um,
Well,
and like
we
other
shouldn't say that,
things,
or maybe Nintendo will try to take that one down too.
they tried already. They failed miserable. Because what do they want to sue Pokemon MMO for? What does it use? The assets are from Nintendo ROMs, not from them. They don't provide anything.
That's true.
That's a little loophole they used because we were already sued and won. Other than that, yes, like, it's a data breach. I mean, over 1,000 people were dogs. That's the worst part of it.
Yep.
Other than that, like, nothing surprising. I like the synopsis of like the next Pokemon leaks that were revealed. We got the beta name of the Switch 2 and other shit like that.
I didn't dive too deeply into all these leaks.
I just like looked over it quickly.
So like I don't even know like the beta name for the Switch 2 or any of
I
that.
already forgot it. It was like pretty
Oh,
recent.
I think I remember. Wait, it started with an O.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, what part jump things? Like we know that the next Pokemon Legends games now plays in the future,
Which makes
not in the
sense.
past. Yeah. No, people thought it will be played in the past, like the last Legends, but now it's future. I think it's based.
Like we've done everything we can in the past between Conquest and this, the original PlayStation.
What? Literally, we have a whole blown war in Kalos we can recap. Like Kalos is after Johto like the region with the most history, but we decided to go to the future rather than to explore this history, and I think that's awesome. That's based.
Yeah.
I like the future. The future is based.
Yeah, like
But
I love that we have all of these animation things. We have like TCG stuff that's coming up. Like it is possibly the largest data breach other than the Insomniac one in gaming history. So there's a lot out there. If you want to find it, there's a Twitter post through Centro Leaks.
Yeah, they've been handling all this, doing a pretty good job. Oh, and it's called Ounce, by the way. That was the code name.
Pounds. Yes.
I've heard some people might be like the code name could be OZ, just like how Switch was NX, but yeah, Ounce.
It's pretty cool.
And so that means nothing, basically.
Literally.
I love that there's potential for having all of this preserved as well, because we didn't have some of these in high quality for a long time. Some of these original sprites, so having them now is really nice, especially as we've dealt with the Internet Archive being DDoSed 3 times in the last month and a half.
Literally, whoever did that, if you listen
You
to this, I'm going to.
You absolutely deserve to die. It's like
I will find you and I will going to kill you.
That is the modern day Library of Alexandria you're trying to burn down. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I love that we are finding out in real time people don't understand Japanese culture through the Bandai Namco layoffs.
Yeah, literally.
That story was funny just because like when you put it in the perspective of like American or maybe just Western culture, it's like we're gonna put you in this room and you are gonna not work at all. But I'm still getting paid. It's like, well, yeah, we can't just not pay you, and we can't fire you either. Well, okay then.
Popping open my Switch deck or my Steam Deck, fucking sit there, get paid for doing jack
It's
shit.
funny because it's a gaming studio, so it's like this is research. You could literally justify it.
Literally.
But of course, like I understand that the idea of like in Japanese culture, it sucks. And to be fair, in career-wise, I mean, it doesn't really help if you don't have like projects under your belts and in your resume to work on. So, but then Bandai Namco, of course, like denied all of this. I think the only thing they actually confirmed is that they were canceling a bunch of projects, including ones that they worked on with Nintendo. Which is actually interesting based on like a recent leak that came out where they said that Nintendo is working with some third parties to kind of like pad out their year because they don't have stuff they won't have stuff for the Switch when they launch the next system, because that's always how it is between console generations. So like third parties are going to like kind of take the brunt of it, but Bandai Namco was supposed to be one of the big ones, but like that's probably not going to be the case anymore. So.
Yeah, I do find it fascinating though, because like this is right after the massive success of like the DLC for Elden Ring, the massive success of Sparking Zero. They were in the process of making a new fucking like Digimon game. We don't know the fate of that one. We do know.
We never know the fate of that one. They started working on it 2021.
Yeah.
The last thing Digimon told us 6 months. In 6 months is the fact that the last Digimon game sold 1 million units, which is like super cool, but also
and the news before
get information on the next one.
And the news before that was that the lead designer of the Digimon franchise for over 10 years quit Bandai Namco.
Yep, and that's
a year ago already.
Yeah, and that's the same person that also worked on Devil May Cry, if I remember right. So like,
yes,
okay.
Yeah, like they've lost the leads of a lot of their projects over the last couple months. So it's kind of in this weird spot at the moment. We do know that like Devil May Cry is potentially like dead in the water at this point because of that, because nobody that's been on the original team is there anymore. So,
which is too bad because Devil May Cry was making a bit of a comeback with its last entry. I still have that on my backlog to play.
Same. I gotta finish like the Virgil side of it.
I did forget about the anime. You're right. It's also a thing because like I don't have Netflix anymore, so I forgot things like the Tomb Raider thing just came out, getting renewed for like a second season. Because I'm just not on Netflix
pissed
anymore.
off the incels on Twitter too, because strong woman looks strong instead of having big tits and a big ass.
She looks hot. Like literally.
I mean, I find it funny just because like Lara's modern design has been like that for like a decade by now.
No shit.
Yeah, and it looks great. It looks so great.
Also, mommy, beat me up, please. Like, I'm sorry, y'all are fragile in your masculinity, but okay, more for me, I guess. We
Listen, I'm going to cuck you with her.
I'm literally sitting in the cock chair right now for this hotel. I have no defense.
Okay. Okay, well, this took a turn.
Like there is like literally one chair, two beds, and like I'm like fuck.
Oh my god.
See, the
That's-
universe is on my side.
Yeah.
Thank you, universe.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Like it's a
Love you
perfect
too.
scenario for this, and I hate it.
Let's
Me-
talk
me-
about Expedition 33, please, because I want to get off this conversation.
Exactly.
So,
This is like the game I'm looking forward to the most of next year right
Same.
now.
Oh yeah, I think all of us are, because man, every trailer just looks so good,
it looks
and the fact that it's
better.
coming on Game Pass as well.
It
man,
looks
looks
so
better.
there's like no
better.
negatives.
It looks so cinematic. It looks so fluid. The voice cast so far is just perfect. Like everything I've seen is top tier, and I want this game to do well. And it comes out in spring, so it's not
Absolutely.
that far away.
No, it comes out in March, if I remember right.
Oh, it says spring here, but yeah, probably March. I don't
I
know.
think we got. Didn't you already got like? Let me
I think
literally
it's
check
in
real
this
quick.
Xbox.
You can just go to the
look,
website, yeah.
Yeah, no, that wasn't revealed. I'm just stupid.
Oh, okay. Well, we had the Xbox showcase come out like at the same time that this was getting shown. Alan Wake 2 Lake House DLC. This is my personal DLC of the year.
Cringe.
I love this universe. Okay, I will sit here and suck.
I have not played an Alan Wake game. I know a lot. They are deeply loved and look great. I still have yet to play them. I won't say that they are better or not.
Same, but I will just because I really liked Quantum Break and Control looked cool, and apparently everything's connected, so I gotta play.
I
Alan Wake.
just think that DLC is not as big as 90% of games that came out this year.
I
Unlike
said
the
the
Elden Ring
DLC.
DLC.
I said DLC of the year. I don't care about the
Yeah.
Elden Ring DLC.
But the Elden Ring DLC was bigger than most games that came out this year.
That is entirely fair.
He's also right about that.
And this is insane.
That is entirely valid.
Yeah. Anyway,
Kronos, the new
But yeah.
Dawn from Bloober Team, who's coming off the heels of the wildly successful Silent Hill 2 remake.
yeah, good
Woo.
job on them for making that. I honestly was expecting them to fuck up. They did
I
not.
was too. I'm like, you're remaking one of the most beloved games on the fucking planet. You fucked
Yeah,
up.
and
the
it sold
death of
like
your
a
studio.
million copies, like almost immediately. And that apparently is a lot for Silent Hill. I've also learned Silent Hill's surprisingly small franchise for
It
being
is.
iconic as it is.
And that's why the prices of those games is so goddamn expensive, is because they are like short prints, basically.
It is stupid. But anyway, at least Silent Hill 2 is good, which means more Blooper Team stuff in the future, most likely.
We are getting more looks
Let's
at
see, then there's the shooters.
Yakuza, the pirate game. Samoa Joe's in
Yeah.
there, which is crazy to think
That
about.
looks really fun. I mean, I still have other Yakuza games to play, but
I
I'm glad the
got-
Yakuza
I
franchise
got-
is doing good, except
Yeah. Infinite Wealth.
you were going to say something about the show, I assume.
It's the thing that exists.
Yeah.
I made it 10 minutes
Honestly,
into the
like,
first episode.
When they first mentioned that they were going to try to move away from the games, I saw that as a red flag. But then Yakuza fans were like telling me, because again, it's not a franchise I've invested time into yet myself, that the franchise first game doesn't really have much of a story, and it kind of works to be its own thing. But the reviews have not been good for Yakuza.
The first game
Yeah.
doesn't really have a lot of story because it was kind of just like this fun project for them. And then as it progressed, there was infinitely more story. And that's why I'm like, if you're straying away from the games immediately, you're going to write yourself into a corner. And that's what I was afraid of. And they wrote themselves into a corner within the first 10 minutes of the show. Which is stupid. Mouse PI for hire. You got a, Toon Force
Pet shooter game, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm going to wait for that to be on sale. But it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Plus, I think it's coming on multiple platforms too. So.
Phasmophobia is coming to Xbox.
Oh yeah, I gotta play Animal Well at some point. I remember seeing this presentation. I still haven't bought that, even though I've been meaning to, because I made the only thing that ticks me off is I've heard this game is really good, but it's like, why did the first game published by Donkey have to be like really good? I hate life. But yeah, so gotta play Animal Well. And Eden Zero got I
Game.
I think this was supposed to be an announcement, but I swear we knew about this already.
I don't. I think they announced a second Fairy Tale game, like a second Fairy Tale.
They did do
playtest.
that, but
I
I
don't
think
remember Eden Zero.
Mashima. I thought he mentioned working on one of these, but whatever.
He might have
Either
mentioned it.
way, he's
like
working on a lot of games right now.
Yeah, he might mention it in like a manga, comment, but I don't think we'd ever gotten a
He
trailer.
might have, yeah.
But I don't follow Mashima either, so I trust you more than me on that. Firebreak, which is in the NBC universe, is a 3-player co-op experience coming from Remedy, and it looks fun. I don't think I'll buy this day one. I will see a little bit more of like how it functions, or wait till there's a second trailer for this, because I'm not really a multiplayer gamer anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
But because it's part of the Control universe, I'm going to have to play it at least to know the story that's going on in it. But I'm not going to buy this one day one, or I'm at least going to wait till there's a second trailer for it. But it does look fun. I'm not going to sit here and deny that from what I saw of it so far. I just want more before I make that financial decision. Especially like given the price of games now being all over the fucking place. This definitely doesn't look like a $70 game to me. So
yeah, and there's a couple of like smaller titles that kind of look interesting to me, like all of them practically. So I'm looking forward to like trying some of these when they come out.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta scroll back up because Discord decided it was going to do that thing where it fucking jumps all the way to the end of the chat. So
Back.
we saw, and this is less gaming, but I do kind of want to touch on this because this is a very real thing. And this is something that Ann Arbor and I kind of realize a bit more having, a tech background. The algorithm prioritizing beautiful people. This falls into like the creator space more than anything for us, because this is very real. You look at the front page of Twitch, you look at the front page of Kick, you look at the front page of like any of these streaming sites, and they're going to
literally makes sense. But
put pretty people up front, get more people to click, get more people to scroll, meaning you get more.
Literally go into any clothing store. That's why we have models in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, it's not a shocker. Everybody expected that.
I just find it funny to see it be put on paper.
Yeah.
Like, that's what kind of got me, because like it being documented is fascinating.
I would like to know how the algorithm decides who is beautiful and what not. What standards does it use? That's what I am interested in.
It's
because
probably fed, just judging by the FYP from like a fresh account perspective, and I'm going to assume it's fed like models as training data.
Yeah, like literally just like, does it prefer hair color or like anything else? I would literally be interested in like seeing which data it prioritizes for deciding who is beautiful.
That's something I think that would be, but like,
that would be hilarious.
We'll never see like the full document in the general public, unless
somebody... we can guess Caucasian white woman with blonde hair, blue eyes, who is slim as fuck, is like most likely like the number one. Just imagine Cynthia from Pokemon.
Yeah, no, like that is the bulk of like a blank FYP, is that or propaganda in America,
or China.
I don't know about a China account because I can only judge based on an American account. Because when I log into the blank account for Kontrolled Khaos, like it is just blonde hair, blue eyes, big tits.
Man, I wish I had blonde hair. I have everything else.
I was just waiting to see which one you were going to talk about when you're saying I wish I had.
I mean, I have blue eyes. I am Caucasian. My females in my family always have big breasts, so that wouldn't be the problem. I just have the wrong gender and the wrong hair color.
Estrogen exists.
You know what? No, I am happy with my current body. All right.
You know what? That's pretty cool, man. At least you're comfortable with who you are.
Well, I do.
And
I go to the gym after all. I should be comfortable with it.
But like there's something to be said about like we've like had the multiple at this point CEOs come in and say like there's a collapse of creativity in the gaming industry. Sean Layden is the latest one.
yeah, it's just so funny coming from them.
Yeah. And how do we save the collapse of creativity? We start using AI because AI is creativity pure, isn't it, my friends?
I think what I posted in response to the story is like, maybe if we didn't fire all the creative
Yep.
people, this wouldn't be a problem.
I think they should just hire me. Like every company should hire me. I've worked for every company for the creative spot.
Antitrust laws be like.
listen, it wouldn't be the first law that they all break. So why shouldn't I get profit from it?
Mm, that's a fair argument
This is a joke. This is a joke for legal reasons.
Yeah.
for legal reasons.
For legal reasons, that's a joke. I find it funny that there's confirmed now after all the leaks that there's no post-launch DLC for Spider-Man 2 because
What?
the leakers kind of ruined everything. But like I seem to remember that there was a bunch of DLC on that timeline at one point, but I guess it's just all gone because of that.
It's base that they are not making a DLC. DLCs are cringe.
I mean, if you bought the deluxe edition of the game, I thought you were supposed to get the whole season pass, but I might be wrong. I guess you got a bunch of extra suits and a new game plus and nothing else.
Well, let's go suits. I love my suits.
But it's weird because there was a lot of setup there, so I'm guessing that Venom game is going to be a thing now, possibly. If that's still in development. I know they canceled the.
Yeah,
the
I mean, there's a
multiplayer.
Venom movie out right now, so I feel like they'll still capitalize on the IP for now.
Yeah,
They canceled the multiplayer game, which
cringe.
because that was a really cool idea that they had, but then maybe they just were like, I couldn't fucking pull it off. You know, it's whatever at this point. Like Insomniac is allowed to cook, because I have faith in them at least.
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff in the oven.
Yeah. Bethesda held a Fallout Day, and fuck all got announced other than DLC for 76, which is still chugging along. Sakurai.
I'm surprised by this.
Sakurai premiered his last episode of his show on his YouTube channel, and apparently he recorded all of that shit 2 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Which is insane to think about, recording all of those interviews. Or
I mean,
2
it's
years ago.
It's interesting how many like YouTubers are doing that strategy as of recently. Just like, what if I record everything years in advance and make a whole story about it? But at least when Sakurai did it, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And alluded to a game that's coming out, which is probably Smash Bros. If we're being real, because it's like a new system's coming out and Smash Bros. For launch.
I'm so happy for him to retire. He did so much work for this industry. He deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to miss him.
I mean, again, we're saying that while he's working on a game.
Yep.
Hush.
It's funny to think about though, because like we have hit the level of all of these old heads in the industry hitting retirement age, and we are seeing the death of that generation. I'm saddened by that, but I'm also happy that they're actually getting a chance to their careers on their terms. You know, there's a lot of times that's not the case anymore.
Most of them have a happy ending after all. Like, especially now since like more and more people are being replaced by AI, they at least like leave with like the human part of this industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really nice one, because like when we're seeing like so many layoffs and so many studio closures, it's essentially like the collapse of the gaming industry. we had originally thought the Sakurai's last title was going to be Smash Brothers Ultimate, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And because he had, said like near the end of that, it was basically hurting him to even draw and animate some of the characters at that point. So we had all just assumed that that was going to be the death of that. And I'm like, well, at least that's a good like note to end everything on, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Like that game revolutionized like platform fighters. It had brought a lot of lovely interactions with the community. It revitalized that scene essentially, because Melee was basically holding everything down because nobody really liked Brawl. So, having Ultimate and everybody coming together from fucking Sora on up to like Sephiroth to Kazuya, it was crazy.
Do you know the story why it took so long to get Sora into this game?
Nomura probably.
Nomura said he didn't want to because he couldn't put it into the Kingdom Hearts timeline.
That's hilarious.
He wanted Smash to become part of Kingdom Hearts timeline if they included Sora because everything needs to be canon in his head.
That sounds actually very on brand for him. And weirdly, I kind of get that. It's like, wait, where does this fall in the story?
Yeah.
Especially because, like, I mean, I'm not in the Kingdom Hearts fandom, but I assume that would affect like what moves he can do and like what he's like both capable of and like his main personality as well.
To a degree, but also no.
To a degree, if you're a person who thinks like Nomura, please seek a therapist.
I think the only reason like it would affect like the move set is like, are we talking about like when he can use his like Valo form or his master or like anti form, shit like that. By having like the basic Keyblade combos and shit like that, like that's no matter what, But
no matter what,
it's still funny that that's what held it up. Meanwhile, they're like, yeah, fuck it, Cloud can be in there and swing his sword around. There's like 18 other sword characters. Why not?
I like Cloud. Cloud is my main.
So Secret Level got its actual like release date shortly after Nomura's thing came out, which is funny. These were both happening concurrently. Which is the 10th is going to be an episode
of December.
10th of December. You got an episode on Pac-Man, Warhammer, Concord, Mega Man, Unreal Tournament, Eternium, whatever the fuck. Oh, that's the Amazon MMO New World Eternium. Armor Core, Spelunky, Honor of Kings, Sifu, Dungeons and Dragons, Outer World, Crossfire, Exodus, and then there is a PlayStation. Will feature a number of characters and games.
I am hyped for Dungeons and Dragons and Spelunky.
Yeah, like I'm hyped for a lot of these. It's just like so weird that we're still pushing Concord after it got delisted. But I'm guessing it's because they had already filmed it and paid for it to be part of the content. But it's still fucking hilarious to me. Sega filed a patent infringement lawsuit against the developer of mobile game Memento Mori, seeking $1 billion, about $6 million in damages. Party James, you posted this one.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that, so we can move on to the next one because like it's just what Nintendo's doing, Sega's doing. So the mechanics, we can pass that one.
Whatever you are doing, I can do better. Sega be like.
I find it hilarious that we have a full-on Cult of the Lamb album. That is all metal. You have people like Howard Jones on it from fucking originally from like Killswitch Engaged, which is insane to me because that means Devolver has a lot deeper pockets than I thought they did.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of just the thing with Devolver, like with their presentations and everything. They kind of present themselves as a much bigger studio than you think they are, but then it's like, wait, maybe they just are that big a studio.
Because like, if I like non Howard Jones kill switch engaged for our local festival here, it was like half the budget for like booking bands, and then pretty much the
I
other
also
half of it went to Bad Omens. But like it was fucking crazy to me how much they were paying out for bands. But like it makes sense. Like I love it. What I've seen of what's going on in this album, it's fucking beautiful. Like, but I'm also a metalhead, so it's funny to me. Um, the VTuber Iron Mouse is going to be a character in Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising.
woo, I'm so
Cool.
hyped.
Good
I
for
have never
them.
played
But
that game.
Number one streamer in fucking game. That was pretty cool. Um, did not expect that. Ubisoft
yeah,
shitting
but
themselves.
it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, I'd be shocked if we don't see more VTubers becoming voice actresses in the near future. Um,
Um, yeah, I would be shocked if we see more of them. Um, you most of them will just be hired for like PR stunts and shit.
yeah. Oh,
They
absolutely.
are they do not have the training for it. I'm sorry, but like voice acting needs training.
You don't have to apologize for that. It's true. They just don't have the skill set. I mean,
Yeah.
at
There are a
least with
lot of voice actors
Iron,
that are
this version,
Oh,
I guess
I
Iron
need to
Mouse.
apologize. People are getting hate for saying that on Twitter. But
But
again, it's Twitter. You get hate for
yeah,
everything.
no, like I
Yeah.
I literally find it funny though because there's a lot of voice actors that are also VTubers. You see like Takahata, you see Sayu, you see people like Amalie be the voice of Monarch. So like there's
Oh
sort of
yeah, she's a
crossover,
great.
but like for the most part, like no, these are just like random people that use a virtual avatar and they don't have the training. I say barely having any, vocal training of my own, but it's still funny to me that people throw a fucking tizzy fit about it. You need training or you're going to kill your vocal cords. I'm sorry. That's a very real thing. um, but Ubisoft again. Prince of Persia Lost Crown team, which is also the team that did.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
Ubisoft. I feel like most of this, whatever we call this, we can call it the
yeah,
greatest downfalls of Ubisoft.
yeah. This is just gonna be the Ubisoft logo on a dumpster. At this point for the thumbnail probably. But like, it's funny. Like, this is the best game that they've put out in possibly the last 10 years, and the
Yeah,
studio
sounds
behind
like
it
it.
has had worked on the fucking Rayman remakes. They worked on this, and they were probably the most talented people they still had from that generation of like the art side of things. Remember Ubisoft Art? That did Rayman Origins. They did Child of Light. I think they did Valiant
Oh
Hearts.
man, I love Child of Light. That was a great game.
So like gutting that team, I don't know if it's just like getting restructured or like fully laid off. There was no clarification on that when we
Based
looked up.
on the wording, it sounded like they were just kind of reshuffled, which, is like the lesser of two evils. But we learned from the report that they tried to propose a sequel and do more with the IP, of course. But Ubisoft said no, you didn't get enough sales. Which, I mean, if they didn't get enough sales, at least I understand that. But also, how much sales were they expecting?
Because this was like a
Because
borderline
like, did it do
Metroidvania.
that bad? Because I heard so many good things about this game.
I can't say it did bad. I'm guessing they expected it to do like the numbers of a regular traditional Prince of Persia title, which it was never going to do because this is like borderline Metroidvania style game, which is already a niche, and Prince of Persia is already a dead IP technically.
Yep.
So like this was the first title that they've done in over a decade, and that um and the last big one was the reboot that was on the PS3 if I remember right. And that did horribly and it was hated by basically the entire community. Um because there was no real consequences for you fucking up in it. You didn't die, you just kind of respawned. Um and it had a DLC you had to pay for to get the ending like a Swords Raft. Or Swords Wrath, it was just something totally fucked up, but you made a niche of a niche and then expected it to do AC numbers probably is what they were expecting, honestly, and that was never going to hit that. And then in Call of Duty, you have to pay for good audio because, of course, you fucking do.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I said to that response is Microsoft paid so much for Activision Blizzard, as we know, it's not trying to make all that money back and everywhere they could.
Except for it's not even going to Activision; it's going to Dolby, which is crazy.
Okay, well, I don't even get that then. I don't know what's going on.
So it's essentially like you're paying for a license to Dolby Atmos, which is like super high def audio. Pirate Software did like a breakdown of like how it should have been. Like Activision buying a license for have the ability to toggle it instead of it essentially becoming pay to win in a multiplayer game. Because it will, like, if you have enhanced audio and by paying $20 and you want to be competitive in this game, you're going to have to buy the $20 license for 3 years to have better audio, even though the life cycle of a Call of Duty game is less than a year.
Imagine you have a gun, but you can only hear the gun shooting if you have paid for it.
That would literally kill the game, which is, probably the best case scenario, is if Call of Duty just fucking died. Right along with, fucking FIFA and Madden and all these other yearly IPs. We already talked about, like, the Rayman Origins team there. The day before, developer Fantastic has canceled his failing Kickstarter and then announced another Kickstarter in the same breath.
Hilarious. Yeah, nothing much to say.
I wonder, did they get the payment for the failed Kickstarter, or did it go back to the donors? That's a good question when you think about it.
I do not know that.
Because think about it, if they got that payout, they could essentially do this forever and then fund another big game that will inevitably get shut down.
From what I know from Kickstarter is they keep the money.
They're just going to be a grift studio, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, I've tried it. I've tried to get my money back from Team Cherry. It doesn't work.
Well, like, Team Cherry is at least fucking working on something, unlike...
No, I don't. Prove it. Literally prove it. Do you know when we got the last news?
Like a year and a half ago at this point, I think.
Pre-corona.
Jesus Christ, it's been that long? Oh,
yes. Man. So that proved to me that they work on something.
I mean, do you know how long it was between fucking World of Warcraft expansions? I do, because my friend's been trying to get me to play WoW. And I'm like, no, I'm not re-downloading WoW. Ever.
Understandable. Yeah, but like, it's important to say that Silksong was a donation goal from the Kickstarter, which we achieved.
Yeah, I know.
I've donated for exactly that shit.
I know. I'm hoping it comes out in the next couple years. But I want them to make a good game. I don't want it to be
I already gave up on that game.
You'll play it
like
once
most
it
people.
Out. You'll play it once
most likely. Yeah, but still. It's like number 3. If you wait too long, the hype is going to devour itself.
Yep.
And it's going to ruin the game.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Thunder Horse shut down. I had no idea what the studio was until I Googled it, and they made 3 games. 2 of them were mobile, and 1 was made via Kickstarter. But unlike Fantastic, they actually made the Kickstarter game.
So they are not drifting.
Ubisoft also...
Yeah, but it goes back to what we're saying with a lot of indie studios also. Yeah. Suffering consequences right now.
Yeah. Ubisoft confirmed it's making a new Rayman game amidst the reports of there being a remake. This is right after they shut down the team and reshuffled them, so that's kind of fun that they did that. Then I don't trust Ubisoft to make a good game without that team behind them. So unless they're there, I'm I'm not going to, have any faith in it. I don't have faith in Ubisoft at all at this point, really. Prince of Persia's team from Lost Crown put out a little statement.
Yeah, I was like quickly skimming through this. I like how that ended with. I mean, just getting to the end was like, people are first of all shuffled. They aren't fired, but that's good. The funny thing is at the end, like Ubisoft excited to bring more Prince of Persia experiences. Like, are they? Are they really?
I know they're making a Sands of Time remake.
That's true. That didn't come out yet, so I guess technically they have something.
They have something. Now, will that...
But then again, right now Ubisoft is in a process of probably canceling a lot of projects.
Yeah.
More than likely.
And when we think about it, Sands of Time is the most beloved Prince of Persia title. If that doesn't stick the landing and it fails to meet their sales expectations, because they've already canceled the original batch of pre-orders like a year ago, right? Because it got pushed back so far and they restarted production on it. So if it fails to meet those sales expectations, that'll probably be the death of this franchise, and then we will be stuck in a hell loop of fucking Far Cry and fucking Assassin's Creed until the end of time, and a random fucking Rainbow Six or Tom Clancy slapped IP and shuffled in there for good measure. And that will be how Ubisoft functions, and that's essentially the same life cycle of an Activision. You get one game 1 year, one the next, until the end of time. And that's pretty much how the entire industry seems to be going, really, when you think about it. Is like, we're playing it safe. We can't take risks. Just like the film industry, we're having remake after remake. So it comes back to what Sean Layden was saying. Like, it's essentially like the death of creativity here.
Interesting, though, with movies, because I was looking at like box office numbers for this year. Like, the top movies are all franchises, to be fair. Like Despicable Me, Inside Out 2, Deadpool, like 3. And then I think Godzilla, Kong, so like top 5 for now. Kung Fu Panda's up there.
Yep.
Dune sequel. So, I mean, all the big movies.
Beetlejuice 2, which arguably I understand that one, topping Dune 2, because
and like the biggest movies remaining this year are like Moana 2.
Which
and
was
like,
originally a Disney Plus series that they reshuffled.
From what I've heard. I'm curious how that's going to turn out. People are expecting $1 billion. I don't know.
I would fucking shit bricks if that does $1 billion, but I also would not be surprised considering Moana was like
Disney.
Moana was the pandemic movie.
Yep.
Sony Japan Studios was closed due to lack of hits towards the end, says former PlayStation Sean Layden. And then I just posted the Peter Griffin gif. I just want to talk to him.
Why do you want to talk to him?
Because that was my favorite fucking Sony studio.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and it's just funny because Sony's like, what I said was they're going to burn down their house because it doesn't have much value anymore.
That's literally what it is. They're committing insurance fraud here, basically, because fucking no one actually wanted to buy like Gravity Rush 2 or Gravity Rush 1 was their last couple games, really. I'm just like,
we need more Gravity Rush games.
I bought both of them. I did my part. I also bought the fucking remaster. I did my part. I love Gravity Rush, man. Ninja Kiwi has a new game. Looks like balloons, but that's their art style.
Let's go!
You're happy.
I like that company.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like a chill company.
They updated Balloon Tower Defense 5 like 3 days ago. I would like to say the Balloon Tower Defense 5 got the last update before that 6-7 years ago.
Christ.
Because they have Balloon Tower Defense 6 now out, which is like great. But why the fuck did they just decided, let's update the 5th game? Because reasons.
Probably some sort of like quality of life patch.
No, literally just a new map, and that's it.
Wow, there you go. And you put in.
Yeah, but they could have put the map into Balloon Tower Defense 6, but they didn't.
Anniversary, maybe?
No, it's not.
Huh. Cool. Well, you got new
Literally
content.
just a random out of nowhere update for an old game that wasn't updated for like almost a decade.
Maybe some intern's like, well, fuck, I'll do something here. They didn't want to
Yeah,
put it
most
in the new one.
likely.
But anyway, we're in the middle of a Sonic Renaissance, says Sega
Oh,
Transmedia boss.
yeah.
Uh,
So that one was me. Surprise, surprise, posting it. But yeah,
Just
this like
Sonic.
link. Besides the Sonic stuff, which was cool to see, that's not like super relevant other than Sonic's been doing good. Sega point out like a bunch of other stuff that was coming out. It's kind of funny that like I posted this before we found out the Yakuza TV show was not very good because that was another big thing they were hyping up in this interview. So that's
This needs
sad.
all the
But
hype it can get.
like hopefully some of their other projects are going to be good because there were some like very promising things like in the article. I'm just opening it up now so I can actually just read it out. It's the Like a Dragon stuff. Oh yeah, it's like a Streets of Rage movie that's being written by the guy who did John Wick, Derek Kolstad. So
Ooh.
that sounds pretty cool. A Golden Axe animated series is coming out for Comedy Central. That sounds fitting, just like very fitting. And then weirdly, they had like Angry Birds as a pillar, so I'm assuming that means more Angry Birds movies for whoever's interested in that. Because those movies actually did do pretty decently, surprisingly. And I think Shinobi's getting something. I don't think the details are here. And yeah, apparently they're doing even more beyond what was announced. But all of that seems pretty cool. And the other thing is they mentioned working with trying to enter the theme park like business, and they do have some experience in that. So I'm interested to see what they're doing here because Nintendo's, of course, going into Universal Studios and doing all that. So Sega, like they don't want to open up a whole theme park, but they do want to kind of
Sega
like
does, but
get involved
Nintendo don't.
with
There's
other
going to be
things.
full-on gambling in the Sega one.
No, but that actually fits because that's how they make most of their money.
Exactly.
Just pitching coaches.
I go to a fucking Sega casino. Like, why not?
No, but they could just make a Sonic casino and it would, I lose so much money. I would lose so much money, and I would justify it by being like, "Well, I lost all my rings."
I lost all trying to defend Shadow here. Oh my
man.
god.
But yeah, some cool stuff Sega's in store, and I think that, like I said, Sega's been doing good as like a gaming company this year. They have like a lot of really highly rated games. I think the lowest thing was like some Demon Slayer thing they did, which was like a 70, but everything else was just like
They had like
in like the 80s.
yeah, they had like 2 flops in the last couple years, which is pretty damn good considering they came off of a miserable streak. So, like, I'm really
Yeah.
happy for that. I love that the Angry Birds is getting this because one of my hear me outs was like the red Angry Bird. the big
Okay, then. Didn't know that.
the big fat red Angry Bird. I was like, oh, listen, he's big, he's red, he go boom. Make piggies go boom. I like fuck it, you know. I love the Angry Birds when I was in college. It was one of my like calming, like I can blow off some steam between classes games. So like it's nice that they're focusing on that. I don't understand how that can be considered a pillar though, other than the movies and
Yeah,
the
I
fact that
don't
it's
either.
cross media, you know. And I guess most studios are going into cross media at this point because they want to be as profitable as like say a musician at this point where like streaming wise they don't really make any money, and considering a game costs like $35 billion at this point to make, it seems like, you know, you got to have like a TV show and you got to have merchandising and you got to have all the shit. You got to have a marketing budget of half of the price of the game. So having a
Yeah,
theme park and all the shit to have like passive income, it just tracks. I don't think every goddamn studio needs to get into the theme park business, but if there is one, like you said, like Sega, they already have the fucking the arcade in Japan, or they did. I think that closed during COVID.
yeah, I think it's a yeah.
But like it makes sense because they have the experience already to get into something like that. Um, Golden Axe having a Comedy Central show, I feel like that would be more of an FX based on the violence. But then again, Fucking, like South Park gets extremely violent at times.
Yeah, exactly.
So it can work. Um, Shinobi, that's one of them that they already were focusing back on their like retro project that they announced during like the what was E3 times. So like all this makes sense. I'm happy for Sega to have this like massive renaissance. Because like
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I
want
think
to see another studio get absorbed at this point.
yeah, definitely not. Especially not like a really big one. Although Ubisoft is probably next. Let's be real. Um, but anyway, with Sega, I think they're doing things like much better than most other studios when it comes to this multimedia stuff. Because Sony, I mean, again, I just mentioned I think earlier that Venom is out in theaters. And performance-wise, it's not doing super great, both critically, but it never does, and financially, it's kind of like okay at best. And then we have Craven, which is gonna like get destroyed this holiday, just like Madam Web did earlier this year, which I swear it feels like much longer ago, but it was this year. So
Yeah.
Sony's not been having a very good year when it comes to their media.
So
And
like,
then like
go ahead.
and then like Microsoft with like Halo, they tried, did not work out. So like, and Nintendo got like a movie out, but they're kind of like very slow with their process. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, they were supposed to have a Zelda Netflix thing a while ago, got canceled that when NDA got broken. So Sega's right now doing like I think this cross media stuff the best compared to like everyone else, but that's just really not a high bar. I mean, because like everything else is just kind of mixed. I don't. This Until Dawn thing might be good. Fallout I heard was decent.
It was really
So
good.
that's nice to hear. And
Like,
then Last of Us was great. So maybe we can Horizon will turn out okay, and then Sony will be like, okay, now we figured this shit out.
yeah, and then we also have like a Horizon series and a God of War series coming out for Sony. God of War got a new writer. I believe a couple weeks ago. I
Yeah,
I don't know
sometime
if it was
recently.
just like rumor or like confirmed though, so I didn't bother posting it because there's been so many fake rumors about that show that I'm just like I want to make sure this is actually legitimate before I talk too much about it. But like
Yeah, we don't really do rumors here.
as a Sony fan to an extent, like I do agree like they've had a rough year. But as a Spider-Man fan, I'm gonna be real. Nobody wanted a Madam Web movie. Like you're talking about a niche character of a niche character of a niche character. It's the same way I feel about like having an Agatha, fucking show because you're talking about the bottom of a fucking totem pole in the terms of the characters. The fact that we're talking
Yeah,
about
but I
potentially
mean, they're
having
just trying to ride out WandaVision's popularity because
yeah,
that show got way more bigger than expected.
yeah, but like even to WandaVision fans are like, why is this happening? And obviously it's doing well from what I've seen, and that's great for, the cast of that. But like Craven is like a C tier villain in fucking, Spider Man. You have Spider-Man Noir set photos coming out. You've got like all of this like random shit from like
It
the
wasn't Craven in like the last game.
mm-hmm.
Like I thought he was one of the main guys.
Yep, he was. He was basically
Yeah,
the main guy
yeah.
for
So
most of it.
at least he has some relevance
Yeah,
compared to Madam Web, at least.
but like Madam Web before like the 2000s was like a one-off character in the fucking animated series, and then they brought her into like some popularity. But like, and that's because of Spider Verse. But the Sony verse only exists without a Peter Parker. That's the thing. Like, without a Peter Parker to make these characters mean anything, there is no point in having the Sony verse. Which is why like all of these movies do horribly other than Venom because Venom is at least a relevant character to the mythos of so the Spider-Man universe.
Also,
And
they're made very cheaply, so it doesn't
yeah,
need to make much profit.
and like that's been Sony's MO for the longest time is making these at a like massively discounted price tag to make maximum profit because they know nobody really gives a shit about most of these characters. But still, like it's funny that like out of all of these you have, Venom doing the best. They canceled the other project which was like El Morete, I believe, or the one that had Bad Bunny in it. Um the Latin pop star. But actually devoted time into learning wrestling through the WWE to get into this little luchador role, and then they fucking canceled it, which is funny to me because that was the whole reason he got into the WWE was to get into this role. And they're like, yeah, we're not doing it. They canceled a Black Cat movie, which would have arguably done better than a Madam Web movie.
Oh
um,
yeah,
it's so much like the
yeah. Selena's
decisions,
a much interesting character.
the fucking like this like the decisions they're making is stupid. Nintendo canceling the Netflix Zelda was probably a smart one. But they're still potentially doing like a Zelda movie after that too, allegedly maybe. Um, so that's something that can happen. I would love to see Sony take another crack at maybe Ratchet and Clank 2 movie or do a Jack and Daxter movie instead of some of those
Oh
other
yeah, I
random
forgot there
shit.
was a Ratchet and Clank movie.
It's the whole reason we got a reboot. Sadly, I sat in theaters for that shit. Uh, and it was a movie. Um, Ann Arbor and I can at least agree on this one. Baldur's Gate's publishing chief calls out Ubisoft's broken strategy, saying if gamers need to stop getting used to owning their games, developers need to get used to not having jobs. And my only comment was based, because fuck the not owning what you pay for. If I'm not owning it, I'm a pirate it. At this point, it's $70 a game. I'm sorry, I can't afford to buy every game anymore. You know. Um.
Yeah, that's why I do appreciate like services like Game Pass because it's like, hey, people are saying you don't own, you rent it, but you never own anything anymore anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just get as much as I can for cheap.
Yeah. So I can talk for a second here. Lake House it included a teaser for Control 2. This is a DLC for the last DLC for Alan Wake 2. Added a little teaser for Control 2 in there. They also have tied in like side media. We had nods to Quantum Break, the potential for Max Payne being brought into this as well. So they have this masterfully woven web of everything that Remedy has ever put together, all so neatly put in a wonderful package. And I'm so intrigued because I never thought that this project would come together like this, where even the side media, like the stories from like the collector's edition of the original Alan Wake, being brought into this as well. Because if you bought the original collector's edition of Alan Wake 1, there was a novel that came with it. That's canon to this. You have the scribbles that were in the offices of Quantum Break being, little bits and pieces of like the FBC. All of this has culminated into this single DLC, which is also leading into Control 2. So that's fucking fascinating to me. And I'm curious how Control 2 pay off after that ending, because it's insane. I don't want to spoil the actual ending, but it broke my brain. And potentially them getting Quantum Break back would be insane, because that being wrapped up in that like licensing hell of being a Microsoft project, if they get that back, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I
I would want
would.
it.
I mean, I definitely did not have that on my bingo book for ever.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like Remedy is one of my favorite studios for a reason, and like I love everything they've ever made. So it's crazy. Like I'm blown away with how that DLC came together. I had so little faith in it tying everything in the time span that I was seeing when it launched, and it did it perfectly. Um. So yeah, we talked about how bad the Yakuza show was.
Yep.
Blue SoCal Studio is gone. Um, I did not know that this was still a thing. Uh, so you were the one that put this in here. The It's the Netflix
Wait, which
studio.
one?
The Netflix studio.
And
Right under the Yakuza stuff that I was talking about.
I think I scrolled past it then. because there was the Yakuza stuff, Lake House.
Right
Wait.
above the. It's right above the IGN. Satya.
Oh, it's above the IGN?
Yeah, above Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella.
Okay, above the Microsoft. Oh, okay. Netflix behind. Oh, okay, yeah, right. I remember now. This is why we usually use tweets for this. But yeah, like Netflix, like I heard this one from Spawnwave and I wanted to include this. Netflix basically was planning on getting more and more to the gaming industry because like they already had a couple games on their streaming service. And it's just a way to get people to keep, staying on Netflix and giving some value to the brand. And so they had like this huge studio to produce games, but we just found out that they just got rid of the whole studio, and I don't even know what they were working on. I don't think it was ever told to us, other than they had like some like fairly experienced devs hired for them. So I don't know what they were planning on doing. It doesn't really affect me in terms of like, oh, I was doing a project I cared about, but it's more layoffs, and I think it's also Netflix realizing that game development is expensive and time consuming, and something they really weren't prepared for.
They already canceled most things that they would put their hands on anyway, so like it would be a waste of time and energy.
But like, as one of the biggest streaming services, it's not like they didn't have like the capital to do it. So I think this is just them going to be shifting their direction again. I don't know to what, but probably just at least licensing games for now.
Yeah, the same route that Crunchyroll is going with their like gaming service, if you even want to fucking call it that.
Okay, with Crunchyroll, I just wanted to bring this up like real quick because I saw this yesterday. It has nothing to do with gaming, but Crunchyroll apparently like one of the VAs that was been working at Crunchyroll for a while. Yeah, that you've heard of it. So yeah, they took his mail and distributed amongst the staff, and I'm like, that's just a whole felony. What do you mean they were just doing like just a whole felony?
Yeah, that literally goes against the right of privacy.
Not just right of privacy, it's mail fraud, which is like a federal felony. So whoever was doing that,
literally against the letter privacy, mail privacy is a human right in Europe.
That's interesting, actually.
I don't think it's that here.
Yeah, no, I doubt it. I mean, the most we got is just like that the U.S. government will ship your mail wherever you are.
And also, they have their own fucking police.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there's like a lot of laws, but human right, I don't think we have that. Even though it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Don't even have human rights in general, so...
Shut the
fuck
up.
No.
Shut up.
So right.
Shut up.
Look, we have an election where people's human rights are in the balance.
That alone is sad.
And we have a sniveling man-child that's already said, like, I will contest the results of this election that is democratically produced.
Listen, what you guys over there have is not even democratic. It's nothing of that has to do with democracy.
It's not really, but, like, it's the closest thing we'll ever fucking get to like, a true democracy, which is bordering on just, like, autocracy.
See? Yeah. Just wait till my nukes are ready, then I will just nuke America.
I already have enough goddamn disclaimers on this video, man.
Listen, if I just talk about nuking America, nothing is wrong with it.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Name one thing.
Like the word nuke. The word nuke might trigger their AI.
Their AI won't listen this far to this video because nobody will do.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway,
I find it funny,
but yeah, we can move away from that.
I find it funny though, like Satya Nadella is over here bragging about having a pay raise of $30 million after laying off 2,500 employees, and thinking he's safe. Because it's not like he's not like the fucking CEO of Bungie, where he hasn't invited people over for parties, and if people know where this man lives, and if he's bragging about this, I think he's going to need to hire a couple security guards.
I mean, that's the $3 million.
He can afford it, so
yeah.
I mean, I don't feel too bad.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Just imagine if I had 30 million, what I would do with that shit.
I'd settle for $1 million, and I do unspeakable things for just $1 million at this point. Um,
That's where we're at, right?
literally. Killer 7 got an update, and
Woo, let's
it
go.
had AI upscales instead of the FMV cutscenes. So that game is just broken,
Yep.
artistically broken now, which is weird because that studio has now killed 2 of their games. Because the fucking um, I forget the name of the other one that just had a 13, I believe is what it was called. It just had a remake of that not too long ago, and it was all AI upscaled. Yeah, 13 was the name of it, and it had an original version that came out with a like remastered, and the original version was like a really great game, and then Killer 7 was originally a really great game, and now the studio's like doubled down on AI upscaling and ruining their aesthetic of like comic book backed, cell shaded artwork. This is weird. Um, so I'm guessing the studio from now on is just going to go full on AI for their animation, which is terrible. Uh, he posted something about the Microsoft is going multi-platform and it will continue to put their titles on PlayStation and Nintendo. I find it funny that they're just naming console, brands instead of like, the consoles themselves. So I'm figuring they're getting ready for like the PS6 and the Nintendo Switch 2, which makes sense. Because at this point, I don't think anything that's coming out is going to run natively on the Switch without it being a streaming title. You know. Did my stream die? Oh.
Wait, did the stream die?
No, I thought like it died inside of Discord again.
Okay, good.
But yeah, like I don't think that say the next Horizon port is going to be possible. I definitely don't think that the new Fable is going to be possible to come onto like the Nintendo Switch 1. Just graphically speaking. Um, so it makes sense that they're just naming like brands instead of actual consoles. Um, we have Ackman here on Twitter saying publishers are absolutely terrified of preserved video games used for recreational purposes. Oh no, the tragedy that a 25-year-old video game is being used for recreational purposes instead of, the game you will not sell us being used.
Yeah, no, it's just sad. I mean, again, it's that Xiaomi. This is my IP to do nothing with.
Yeah, I'm so terribly sorry, Nintendo, that my copy of Kid Icarus is a ROM. If you would sell me Kid Icarus instead of a ROM on a streaming service, I would gladly pay the $2 it is worth. But like, yeah, that was coming on the heels of the massive doxing or DDoSing of the fucking Internet Archive. And then Xbox.
What I really find funny is that like the used game market has existed for so long, and like they seen zero profit from it, as far as I understand it.
Well, remember
So
they did try to do something with that with the online pass for multiplayer games, so they would curtail, say Black Ops 1 and 2, um, getting resold on the secondary market for a while. But you
I actually
also
did not know that, but also it's like a multiplayer game, so I understand that like at some point that game is just gonna be like not usable outside of unless the fans get really creative and make their own servers.
yep, which
So there's
Activision
that.
tries to kill every time we have a project doing that.
Mm, that checks out. Um, yeah,
Most
but anyway,
recently,
with
like
this, I just don't understand why with the precedents we have that they need to fight this hard for like games they aren't even selling us.
yeah, it's fucking stupid. I don't understand. Like the online pass I got, like the logic behind it because there was no like multiplayer services being paid for at that point other than like Xbox Live. But like Xbox Live, you could offset it by getting the free games, and then PlayStation, online you had for free a lot, just right along with Steam, and then PlayStation Plus became a thing. And you got a game with that, so it kind of offset the cost for a while that way. But now, there's no reason for like publishers to be throwing piss fits over like a 25, 30-year-old game that they're no longer selling. And no one is going out and making a new goddamn, balloon fighter. Nintendo, like you threw the ROM of that in the original Animal Crossing on the fucking GameCube. Like, it's not that big a deal, you know. Like Nintendo specifically has been doing this for years. Back in the day, you had no online account, so every time you got a new DS, you had to go out and rebuy whatever digital game you were fucking playing too. So they kind of made their money that way. Now they have their own online service, but they don't want to sell you or put on these online services their entire catalog. So there's, who's going to sell me the original Shinobi for the NES? A disc replay or a ROM? Like, I'm going to take the ROM and not pay the $45 for the fucking cartridge that might not work. One will look pretty in my collection. The other one will look pretty on my desktop. Speaking of emulation, though, like Xbox One has actually gotten to the point where they have Destiny 1 loading, which is crazy because they've had like so many setbacks with this emulator for the Xbox One, and they finally gotten some major progress for a actual live service title. So big props to them. I did not expect this one at all. I figured this was a dead in the water project for a while, and seeing a massive progress update like this gives me hope that we'll have an actual working Xbox One emulator soon.
That would be so based.
Yeah, like, think a live service game, how hard that must be to get running on an emulator. I follow the emulation community to a degree, but I never thought like this or an Overwatch 2 or something like that would ever be playable on that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more progress with that. But with that, we have, reached the end of this topic list finally.
It only took 3 hours.
Is it 3 hours again? Jesus fucking Christ. Uploading this on this hotel Wi-Fi is going to be a nightmare. It is 2 hours 41 minutes. Okay, yeah, close to 3 hours.
Oh Jesus, we're almost 3 hours. Yeah, well,
Yes,
I
I
guess
know,
it's about time to wrap up.
That's why I stopped talking, because it's like 1 a.m. and I've almost fell asleep.
Oh jeez, yeah, it's pretty late where you're at, and we only did 2 months worth of content. We skipped a whole month, or 2. I don't know.
We skipped like a month and a half worth of shit, which is more than I usually am like willing to skip.
That's
like,
fine. I mean, we got like a Sony presentation, Xbox presentation. The only thing we missed was the Nintendo presentation, which
And
whatever.
nothing.
Brotherhood is coming out, I guess.
Yeah, and by the time like the next one comes out, we'll probably have 2-3 months worth of content as well. But who knows?
Oh jeez.
Let's hope not. Let's try and keep these a little bit more regular, guys. I say being the reason this one got postponed for a while.
Don't worry, next one. Me and Pat Jumps will just record the next one without you.
You have the ability to. So until next time, everyone. Peace.
See ya.